We are back. Another Friday stream, another wonderful week, another exciting week. This week was actually exciting. Last week was boring as shit. That's why the stream was shorter last week, because there was really not that much going on. But this week in Schizo World, we have a lot of shit to talk about tonight. A lot of good stuff. Let's turn this down. I was a minute late. Forgive me. Hey, Adorable Waffles. Good to see you in chat. But yeah, we got a lot of good stuff to talk about tonight. We got the huge. We're going to be talking a little bit about AI, technology, and the like. We have Iran. I want to talk a little bit about maybe the end times. Maybe we got some people with some interesting takes out there that I wanted to kind of, react to, look at. We have this Joe Kent, Tucker Carlson deal going on that I think is very relevant to what we've talked about here when it comes to propaganda and certain people, the global elite propping up certain people, political figures. Namely, we've talked about J.D. Vance, Peter Thiel, these types. So that's going to be an interesting little segment we're going to talk about. That'll actually be the bulk of what we are going to be talking about today. The Iran thing and then that. I mean, the Joe Kent, Tucker Carlson thing is kind of split. It's kind of like two parts to it, a two-parter. And then we have time. We'll get into the Andrew Wilson drama from last week. We have an extension of that. That'll be at the end. I'll save that for last if I have the time to do that. And then we also have a Bernie Sanders video, AI video, which I think is very good. I think I haven't seen it, but I think it's good that is anybody talking about the AI crisis, the impending AI crisis? Anybody, low-level people, we talk about it. Other yahoos around the internet talk about it. But is anybody in mainstream media talking about it? Is anybody in the administration talking about it? Of course not, because they fund these people, right? They're pedal to the metal with these people, so of course they're not going to talk negatively about it. I think it would behoove Democrats to talk about it, and it looks like Bernie Sanders is. But yeah, so we got a good show tonight. We should be going. It should be a regular, normal show. I know last week, turn that off, actually. Last week was short. Some people were perturbed. It still was like 2 hours and 30 minutes, okay? It still was like 2.5 hours, but we had to wrap it up a little sooner because I was tired. I was very tired. I'm human. Listen, I'm human. Okay. Sometimes I get tired, but this week, this show tonight should be a regular, probably go till at least 10 o'clock tonight. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, but let me just say, before we get into any of that stuff, make sure to subscribe on YouTube, JCom on YT. Make sure to like the stream and follow me on X. Same exact thing, JCom on YT. You can get updates there. And you can also get updates on the post tab on YouTube to know when I'm going to go live. Helps me out a ton. We're close. We're closing in on 290 on YouTube. Can we get to 300? Can we make it to 300 before May? I want to rub my uncle's face in it and force him. I'm going to tell him, listen, you have to make a YouTube account. He doesn't have a YouTube account. He's like 65 years old. I told him subscribe. And he said, I don't have a YouTube account. I was like, okay, we'll make one. And he said, how many subscribers do you have? And I said, at the time, it was like 270. And he goes, oh, that sucks. He said, when you get to 300, then I will subscribe. So we got to get to 300 before May because I'm going to be seeing him in May. And I'm going to have to tell him, listen, hey, Uncle Rob, hey, now's the time, bud. Now's the time. Pay up. So we got 11 more subscribers away to get to 300. Can we do it? I think we can. I think we'll be okay. We got 2 more months. We should be fine. Friday, finally. I know. First day of spring. Let's go. Let's go. My seasonal affective disorder is gone. It was really bad there at the end of January when it was negative 20 degrees here. And I was like, damn, dude, this is not good. Then it got really warm, and I was like, oh, Punxsutawney Phil, that jackass, that lying little rodent, he was wrong. He said 6 more weeks of winter, and it was starting to get warm. It was like 60 degrees, and I was like, this is awesome. I was feeling amazing. The depression had left my body. And then recently, it just snowed last week. Hit me again. I was like, dude, I thought we were done with this shit. But now it's gone, and now it's 60 degrees, and the weather looks pretty good for the upcoming week here. So let's hope that, suicide watch, that's all done for. I always tell people, if you're ever depressed, if you're depressed in winter and you feel like ending it, just wait. Can you just wait? Just wait till summer, see how you feel. See how you feel when you go outside and get some natural vitamin D. And if you still want to do it, then maybe you have an argument there. Every year my sad gets worse. Yes, dude. I feel like the weather in general, as of the last year or two, has been just it's just been real hard on me. I feel like am I old? Is this what being old is like? Is it my knees and it's just my head is like every day I get up and it's like, well, how's the weather looking today? Oh, the weather is shit. So then I automatically feel like shit. Or it's not even actually just shit, but also the pressure changes and all the whatever the hell. And I feel like it's bad. I was never like that when I was younger. Take vitamin D. Yeah, I try to, but I don't know. Somebody once told me that taking vitamin D doesn't even work. They said that you need the sun. I don't know, like your body doesn't break it down the same way, or I don't even remember. Somebody mentioned that to me a while ago, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm screwed in the winter. Burning tires in the barrel behind my apartment to accelerate global warming. There you go, buddy. Thank you, King of Sheba. You're doing the Lord's work out there. Oh, and look at so blessed. I stole this from my mom. I stole this from my mom's house. I needed mugs. They were all getting broken. So I was like, I just got to take one. So sorry, Mom, if you're watching. I took your mug. But yeah, and speaking of depression, speaking of negative feelings, I really got to be careful at work, because I was talking to a customer. I was talking to a customer about, and he's pretty chill. I see him every week, and it's funny. He's like an older black gentleman. He's kind of like old school. Kind of seems like a Black Panther type guy. And me and him, he is. We'll go on. We'll talk about Iran and whatnot. What's going on over there? And he's totally like against it and thinks it's like horse shit. And he's talking about the price of gas and everything. And I'm like, the price of diesel. And I was like, oh yeah, it's pretty bad, man. But then there's another Southern white gentleman who comes in, and he mentions the gas price, or maybe I mentioned, I can't remember, but he said something like, oh yeah, well, I'm okay with paying more for gas. I'm okay with paying a little bit more for gas right now, as long as we kick Iran's ass. I was like, my fellow white man, what is happening here? What you are out to lunch on this issue? Hey, you're just gonna kick Iran's ass, whatever. I'm talking to the ex-Black Panther, my brother. We're shitting on Trump for destroying this country, essentially, not giving a shit, totally avoiding his main objective, which was making this country great again and going to war in the Middle East. But anyway, so we started talking, elderly black gentleman, we started talking about Iran, and he's asking me why is it happening? Isn't he supposed to make this country great again? What the hell happened? And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm right there with you. And we started to talk more and more, and as things progress, I started to talk to him about Israel. And he seemed hip to it, like he kind of got it. Like he'd wandered into those parts of the internet before. And he always asks me like, well, what do you think, what's going on with that? And I started telling him about, well, I don't know if it was always like this, if this was always the case, or if there was threats on his life. And I said, we started getting to the assassination. And then I brought up the pager incident. If you guys remember, what was that? It was like September 2024, 2025, something like that, where they set up all those pagers. I think it was in Lebanon, and it blew up all these Hezbollah, Hamas, whatever members. And I told him, I said, did you see the golden pager that they gave Trump? And he's like, no. And so I showed him a picture of it. And I'm like, this was right after that. And I'm like, so I don't really know what the hell is going on. But then this has been happening to me more and more. And, maybe it's just something wrong with me. Maybe I need to chill. But I'll talk to people and we'll be going along fine. And I'll just see the mood shift in their face where they go from social, bubbly to depressed and kind of like agitated. And that's exactly what happened. I'm showing him the picture. I'm showing him the pagers. And we're kind of like, and then he just kind of is like, and I'm like, oh shit. I was like, dude, I'm sorry. Am I depressing you? I got to be careful. I think I just got to be careful with what I talk about to people. But you're around me enough, you start to get the real me. I said that at a certain point at this job, it's like, I'm with you people for 8 hours a day. I can't put on the face. I can't put on the facade anymore. I have to just, at some point, it's going to be me. I'm going to be talking about the shit that I want to talk about. And I'm sorry, you're stuck here with me for 8 hours. So deal with it. But I need to like package it better. Maybe it's not. Maybe not go full. The Zionist cabal is threatening our leaders, and we are at the mercy of these people, and we have to do what they want. Maybe I don't go that far. Maybe I take it to a certain point and I stop. I leave the more blackmailing, the more jarring out there takes to the stream, I guess. And if you want to come see it, hey, maybe I should be telling these people, hey, I stream. I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to talk that much about that topic. But if you want to see more, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Maybe I should do that. I should do like a real life, like to hear more about this conversation, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's free. You can get as much of me as you want. But right now in this setting, at this time, it's not, we cannot go any further. We cannot talk any more about this. I don't think people can handle that kind of conversation. Yeah, dog, I could barely handle it. I mean, well, here's the thing is that I've been steeped in this shit since like 2015. So there's a lot more that came from, right? I've been steeped in this shit for 11 years. So all the depressing and jarring facts and tidbits I've heard and learned I've gone through the cycle of emotions on those about 3 or 4 times already. So, I'm more or less invulnerable to this stuff. But normies don't, I feel like normies have like I'm using that term kind of loosely here, but I think general people I talk to out in the streets, they have an idea of things. There's something going on. They're thinking there's something going on up there. I don't know exactly what it is, but something's happening. And you just see little things here and there. You feel some of the effects of it. You see the gas prices and you go, huh. Why is my gas so expensive? Well, what the heck's going on? And then you go, oh, we're attacking and bombing Iran. And then it's like you do have like one of 2 paths to go down, right? You either go the old southernly white gentleman route, or you go, well, that's Trump, and he's really gonna lay one into those Iranians. Or you go the other route and you dig a little deeper and you go, what the fuck? What is going on? Israel, who the hell? I have never met a single Israeli in my life. and you want to know more, and you want to dig deeper, but you don't exactly know where to go. You're not going to go to CNN. You're not going to go to Fox News. You're going to ask the 29-year-old schizo at your local shop. You're going to ask him about it. What do you think about that? And I have to package it better. I just have to. It's honestly depressing me. The facts aren't depressing me, but seeing the look on their faces, that's depressing me. I'm like, oh shit. I'll see you next week. I'll see you next week. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And then I asked him too. I'm like, shit, am I depressing you? And he's like, no, man, you're good. And I'm like, no, I'm depressing you. I'm sorry. I'll shut up. Next Friday. I'll see you next Friday. But it is crazy. So far, my white brothers, you're 0 for 2 on the Iran thing. In the wilderness of life. In the wilderness of life, the 2 white guys I talked to about Iran have just been, yep, Trump, that's our guy. He'll get it done. My black brothers, they'll be like, something's afoot. Something's afoot. Something's up with that crazy orange motherfucker. I'm like, yeah, something is up. You're absolutely right. Maybe the skepticism of Trump and the Trump movement was justified all along. I'll see you next week, maybe, if we still have gas. Yeah. Whatever happened to the Venezuela oil that we just captured? Whatever happened to that? Why wasn't that like the whole point of doing that whole excursion down there, was to secure resources for the war in Iran? That's what it seems like it was. Like, looking back on it, you go, oh, that's exactly what that was. We got to get this. We got to get these oil reserves because we're about to go to war with Iran. They're going to close down the Strait of Hormuz. And to prevent gas prices and diesel going through the roof, we're going to have our own supply and our own reserves. I guess maybe it takes time to refine it, I guess. I don't really know. But you could have just let them close that down if you refined it, and then you could be an exporter of oil. That would have been making America great again, right? In some sense, sort of. That would have been a trade-off, I guess. But I would have offset that, I feel like. But it's just like, okay, we're out here shucking and jiving for cheaper oil price, cheaper gas prices, and it's just, we're not seeing shit. I'm doing my rain dances every evening, and I don't see a single drop. All right. I don't know if you guys saw this. Apparently there was a meteor that went over my head. It went right over my head. Literally, it went over my head and figuratively, because I was asleep when it happened. But I got texts from my sister. She said, did you hear that? Did you hear that? There was a loud boom that just happened in the middle. Did you wake up? I woke up to, I was like, what are you talking about? See, I really am an old man. I'm just snoozing. You could shoot a gun and I would not. Once I finally get to sleep, I'm out cold. But apparently they were seen over Turkey, Australia, Ohio, and Pennsylvania.
Uçak semalarında. Bu ne?
Okay, so this is 4 separate meteors. I'm assuming it's not the same one, because I feel like everybody, if you could see it from all over these parts of the world, it would be a pretty big ass meteor. And I feel like nobody could miss it. So it's gotta be 4 separate, right? What does this mean? What is the meaning? What is the significance of this? End times? Is this an end times? Oh, she's getting a good shot of that. Loud sonic boom. Oh, here we go. Wow, that was loud. How did I miss that? How did I miss that? It's not like explosion. The one in Turkey cannot be a meteor, physically impossible. No meteor of any kind has a tail and hangs nearly stationary like that. A rocket taking off or entering the same thing. It takes huge lift in our gravity to hang in the sky. It could be luminous gas, but from what? I don't know. Some of this, I think, is this the alien deception? Is this it? Is this Project Bluebeam? Remember when all those like weird metallic, did we ever figure out what that was? Those metallic structures were appearing all over the world in different areas. What was that? Is this what we're leading? Is this what's yeah, these monoliths? Or did we figure out this is like an art installation? I feel like I want to do a stream on the Project Bluebeam conspiracy shit and the alien, because and the US government just, what did they do? They just secured the rights to the, what is it, like UFO.gov or something like that? Oh, alien.gov. The US government, alien.gov mystery grows after White House says stay tuned. The domains come less than a month after President Trump said he would order federal agencies to release government files related to extraterrestrial life. Two newly registered federal website domains, alien.gov and aliens.gov, are drawing attention after records showed that they were created this week by a U.S. government agency, fueling speculation as questions around UFOs and extraterrestrial life returns to the spotlight. And then what is this shit? Remember, what did we ever figure out what this was? San Juan County, Utah. Was this just an art installation? Regardless, I feel as though this type of the alien deception is coming quickly. And isn't that part of it? Isn't it what, what's his name? I was going to say Jacques Attali. That's not his name. Serge Monast. Serge Monast, I think, said, didn't he say that in the aftermath of nuclear weapons, there's going to be an alien invasion that's going to reunite the population under I don't want to say it because my stream's going to be flagged. An NWO, right? Isn't that what he said? Is this all leading to that? These things are happening in tandem with each other? I don't know. One of these days, though, maybe I'll do it. There's going to be a new Spielberg movie called The Age of Disclosure or something like that. Discure, wow. No, not the... What is it called? Disclosure, something disclosure. Disclosure Day. Right, it's coming out in 2026, right? Predictive programming, hello. And maybe when that comes out, when this comes out, or right before it comes out, maybe I'll do a big alien stream on the UFO deception and the CIA's influence in the alien community. What's up, Tyler? But I feel like all this is like there's just it's pushing us. I feel like it's pushing us towards this alien outcome. This psyop. It's another psyop. Okay, it's psyop season, boys and girls. Okay. Oh, and this is for the old heads in chat. I saw this on my TL. Haktua has returned. She is one of the rogues gallery of yesteryear, we were covering her a bunch during the rug pull days, and her taking off and her 15 seconds of fame. But she is back with an interview on Channel 5.
So the day that the coin launched, my
Hawk meme coin is live!
Dude,
I actually had,
I remember this.
I think,
Reacting
2
and
podcasts
reviewing
that day.
this.
We were in California when it happened, and the guy that was in the room with us, the one that was like operating the coin, we noticed he was like pacing around everywhere, like nervous, and I was like, is that normal? Like, why is he acting like that? Because, you know, I'm doing podcasts, I'm not controlling the coin, but after all that, and we finished all the podcasts, everybody just kind of went out of the room and they looked concerned, and I was like, what is going on? Like, I don't understand what's happening. And they're like, oh, nothing, you ain't gotta worry about it. I pull up my TikTok, and the next thing I know, oh, yep, Haley Welch is going to jail. And I was like,
Whatever happened to that?
Why am I going to jail,
She should be in prison right
it's
now.
done every single day. Like, it's normal at this point. Like, normalize it, you know?
What?
Talk to. So the day that the
What the hell, lady? This lady, and this is what you give the wrong people this amount of attention, fame, and money, and things like this slips through their fingers. People hijack her name, likeness, and brand and use it to rug pull thousands of people. And they make a bag and they're done. She should face some sort of consequence. I know she likes to talk, oh, what did I have to do? I didn't have anything to do with this. It was just that guy pacing around there. No, lady, you are the idiot who let these people hijack your brand and hawk this stupid coin, this stupid coin, okay? You're the idiot. You bear some responsibility here, okay? But this is what happens, right? That's what happens when you don't go through the normal channels and the normal ways of fame and prominence. We don't go through the trials and tribulations, and you learn about the snakes and the liars and the deceivers. You know, when you don't go through all that and you're just like skyrocketed to fame instantly, that really that's fertile ground for somebody to come in and just completely rape your audience, which is what happened. So maybe I'll watch this. We're not going to watch it tonight because it's like an hour long, but maybe I'll check it out. Maybe I will dissect it for you guys. You guys don't have to watch it, right? You guys won't have to watch it, just like you didn't have to watch the 2-hour Elijah Schaefer Cope Fest. I watched that for you. I'll watch it. I'll detail the most important parts, and we'll react to it, and we will, you know, do our thing over here. Remember the Hail Bob comment cult? Yes, I do. That shit was always crazy to me, man. I'm surprised we don't have more of those kinds of. I mean, I feel like I'm surprised we don't have more cults, but then, you know, the thing is now the cults are just online, right? They're the streamers or the cult leaders. Isn't she an OF girl now? I thought she was. I thought I saw that too. Haley Welch. This is where famous people go to die. She's selling feet pics for $10. Oh my God. She's selling feet pics for $10. Oh, come on, baby girl. $1 a toe? Please. Please. The internet is doing enough brainwashing. Yeah, exactly. You don't need these people to go out there and scoop up all these lost sheep and basically brainwash them into their cult. The internet just does that for you. Cuts out the middleman completely. Actually, it adds a middleman is what it does. And then, you know, like we've said, we don't know who any of these people, all these people could be paid by foreign entities or global elite or whoever, big business, big capital. I don't know. And they want to get you, they want you to buy into their cult. That's the thing. She fell off. Why'd she even get an interview? Well, he interviewed Hunter Biden, so he fell off pretty hard too. He's the interviewer of the fallen. Anyways, let's move along. Okay, now we got our weekly Elijah update. let's see, the Sith Lord Groiper, which I am almost certain is Elijah's alt account that he's running, anonymously, because this dude completely, every comment he goes in here and he just shills. And then he's even commenting on Elijah's post. So I'm almost certain this guy is just Elijah.
But I'm like dead sober now. Like,
thank God.
But I'm like dead sober now. Like,
thank God
I don't
Elijah's
take
sober.
anything. Like, not even I have prescription medications. I don't take them. Okay, I don't even take my prescription medication anymore. And
Elijah's still hanging around. Oh, he's hanging around. He's hanging around. He's trying to reinvent himself now. It's a bold strategy. He's doing two things simultaneously, which is interesting. He's going down the red pill manosphere route where he doesn't give a shit and he's smoking his cigars and he's in his car and he's doing the Tate thing. But simultaneously, he's also talking about a renewed commitment to sobriety and to God and the Orthodox Church. We'll see. This is a bold strategy. We'll see how this pans out for him.
it's the coolest shit I've ever done. It's so cool, man. I'm like locked in. I'm laser focused. And I'm laser focused on one thing.
Did he not just admit it, right? Did he not just admit that he had problems, sobriety problems, right? Hello? Even though in the 2-hour Cope Fest, he was basically denying it. Okay, now we get the admission that I'm completely off of everything. I'm stone cold sober now, guys. Hey, that's good. That's good, at least. That's good. Now after your marriage fell apart and everything's blowing up around you, that's really the time. That's the time when everything is crumbling around you. That's the time to rise up anew.
Alone.
We'll see how it goes.
Figuring out how to serve God with my life. That's the only thing that I'm focused on. And I like,
amen.
This sounds kind of bad. I don't really want to say this. It's like kind of mean, but like, okay, wait. Hold up. This is so bad. Wait. Like, since I got like divorced and like separated from like all of those people that were like involved in my marriage, my life has gotten exponentially better. Okay. Like spiritually speaking and like mentally speaking and just like whatever. And I don't mean that to anybody. I'm not calling out anyone specifically. I'm not calling out the in-laws, I'm not calling out the wife.
Your demonic
friends,
wife.
nobody. I'm just going to say I had the wrong energy around me, guys. I had bad energy around me. And I spent all my life basically just getting nagged by people and grabbed and used and taken advantage of and beat down and, spoken down to and yelled at and degraded. And like, man, that cost me my life. I put out a really good post to people going through divorces and stuff on X about like, if you go to my X and read one of my recent posts, if you're going through something like that, someone who has sent it to them. Because what I'm trying to say is like, I had this whole other life and I left it. And it wasn't my choice, by the way. I was forced out of it. But like
sometimes what you need
out of my life, and like my whole life got better. I got help. Like, look, dude, I'm getting buff again. Like I was like super skinny. I'm getting buff. Like I'm literally just getting like ripped, turning back into a Chad. I was like, I lost a bunch of weight. I looked sick.
Okay, it sounds a little bit like a cope, but
I was like frustrated.
I kind of agree with the sentiment of it.
I was like constantly depressed for years, like literally years of just feeling like shit. And then like, now that I'm just like hanging with the boys and like being racist every day, like I'm having a great time.
It was going so well. I could just go out and be racist every day. Okay. That's what these people are holding you back from being racist every day. Regardless, sounds a little bit like a cope, like his life blew up. And everything's just great now, right, guys? It's all great. But because, hold on to that energy. Let's see how long he holds on to the energy. Because I've had moments like this where shit just blows up in your face. And you do want to have this kind of delusional denial of it, right? Where you're like, no, dude, it's freaking great. All that shit's gone. I don't have to deal with these people anymore. And sometimes that is the case. I've realized that it's like sometimes it is the case that you are around these people and they are negatively affecting you and it reaches a breaking point. And, depending on how much you've devoted your life to the people around you, that can be explosive, right? Like in his scenario, it's like he's got kids with this woman. He's involved in the family, you know, and that's like the risk here is that people don't want to be in that position. So they don't ever want to take risks in life. They don't ever want to have attachment. They don't ever want to be vulnerable. And it's scary. But as depending on how much you've put yourself into these negative people that you might be blindsided about for a long time, or maybe you hear things here and there, you think things here and there, but ultimately it rears its ugly head eventually. That might be an explosive downfall, which I think is what he's going through. And he might be realizing that he has a new life that he can be living. And I don't think it's to be racist, dude. Okay. I don't think it's just to be racist and sexist and homophobic. You could do all that, you know, fine. But it has to be like, if you're going to be doing that, if you're going to be exploding your life, if it comes to that point, it has to be the path of the life, the next life you're going to be living has to be better. Right? It has to be a better path. And if he's going to be renewing a commitment to God and he's going to be sober, I think that is a plus. Listen, I've been ragging on him a bit here and there, you know, but I think that's a good move. If that's the path you're going down and you're actually sticking with it, and it's not just a symbol, it's not just for your channel, it's not just a bunch of bullshit, and it's not just a grift, right? If that's it, if he's truly doing that, then hey, it might be good to get away from Milo and Milo's, his wife, and who's apparently into the occult, as he put it, and his brother-in-law who was associated with Milo, right? All these people. Hey, maybe it is good you get away from these people. Hey, more power to you. And so we got this post that he said, this was yesterday. He said, new producer is a devout Orthodox. He's disciplining me in the ways of the church, ensuring I go to liturgy and continue my catechumen journey, and moved into my house. We kept the lower floor our home, turned top floor into a studio and offices. God be with us as we rebuild in Texas. Hey, more power to you, buddy. Stick at it. Yep, keep at it, brother. Energy Turtle. Yep. So, hey, producer, keep him away from the alcohol. Keep him away from the eternal crash out, the num juice, right? And whatever else he was doing. What's the shirt he's wearing? Oh, Slightly Offensive. That's his brand. We can tell who's not a true Elijah head. You don't even know the name of his show. What? I say that like I'm like a big fan of him. I actually don't watch him that much at all. I've seen a couple debates on Rift TV. I remember watching him back in the day. I used to watch Fleckus Talks a lot too. But when he went to like the Blaze shit, I was just like, what? I was off that shit. But we're detailing, may it be blessed, yes, detailing the explosion of his life, and now we will be detailing the new life he's going to be living. Hopefully, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if he slips off the wagon like Alex Jones did on Tim Pool. That was crazy. Okay, now I got a clip from Mr. Fuentes, which he has a revelation. He has a revelation, people. Something that I've been talking about for probably the better part of a year is technology and how absolutely deleterious it is to our society. It's getting to a point, it's crossing over the point to where it's not bridging the gap anymore. It's not helping us anymore. Now it's becoming cumbersome. It's becoming constraining. It's becoming a slavery, techno slavery. That's what I feel like I'm dealing. That's how I feel. I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Some of it's cool. You know, being able to do this is kind of cool. But it's just nonstop. And with people talking about AI and the replacement of humans and labor and flipping into this new system, I think, well, how is that going to look? How is that going to be fruitful for people's flourishing and their freedom? You like that alliteration? If all of this technology is being controlled by an elite few, how is that going to foster growth in people? Is that going to foster a good life in people? I don't think so. I think it's just going to put up more barriers to entry, more barriers, more slavery. I don't know. We'll see.
$20. There is this parallel universe of propped up, all-American storybook going characters to gaslight actual Americans into thinking the old ideal is still possible. Expecting traditional, pre-internet connections in modernity is wild. Love
yes. You. Okay. That is a good point. And I've railed on this shit too. Even the who is it? The DHS or FBI, I don't even remember who it was who was posting, but they're posting stuff. ICE maybe they're posting these like, remember we want to take back America and make it the old America again. And it's like pictures of like the 1980s or the 1950s or some shit. And I've totally been like, this is just such a poisoning mentality to have, to sit there and constantly compare your life and your situation. And I'm not saying that things are better than they were back then. Clearly, but what I'm saying is you're constantly looking at things back then and how things were, how things used to be. And it's a hindrance for people because every move they make is based on that image that no longer exists. The avenues that they take, the things, the opportunities that arise for them in current day, because there still are opportunities right now. As Black Pill does like talk, there still are some opportunities. I talk about this channel, making this channel. This is an opportunity that's new, that has not been around for longer than 10, 15 years. That's an opportunity. Try and take it. Crypto, that's an opportunity. Try and take it. These new inventions that come out that maybe offer ways of improvement, ways of moving up in life, moving towards your goals, those are good. Those are available. They do still exist. But if you're constantly thinking about, well, I need my 1950s trad wife, I need my one income household and my 4 children, it's like, look, that sucks that doesn't exist anymore. That was great. That was even better. But this constant, like the image of it gets just stuck in people's minds to where they just have no ability to, expand into avenues that are present today that weren't back then.
I'm honestly, as time goes on, I'm starting to think that phones are the problem.
Yes.
It really is the phone. It is like
He's starting to think that?
Ubiquitous, and yet nobody talks about it or rarely talks about it, but the phone is the biggest.
The phone.
It's just killing us.
We just
can't have normal human relations anymore because of phones, because of texting and calling and social media. And now the phones are even worse. It was bad before. And now between AI and the short form video content, it's worse than ever.
Yeah, you ever see like the clip of the guy like the stock trader from like the 80s or 90s who's got 2 phones and he's just constantly bombarded by texts and calls and he's got his Rolodex and he's constantly making trades and that's like what everybody's like now. Everybody's like that all the time now with their phone and the content and the scrolling and the texts and the Snapchats and whatever, the TikToks. It's like everybody's in that mindset of like, go, 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 go. And a lot of it's just popcorn chicken. It's just bullshit. It's like bullshit, go, go, go. It's not like it's not like you're actually working towards anything and actually improving your life. And that's why you're on the go. That's why you're going here. That's why you're doing that. It's like everybody's just got this mentality of like their brain's always on and it's at 100 miles an hour because of the nonstop feed and the nonstop messaging and calling. But it ultimately results in you're stagnant. And he's right. It makes regular communication almost impossible. We talked about the Gen Z stare. The Gen Z stare is a real thing because you have an outlet. You have an outlet of entertainment. You have an outlet that you don't need to talk to the person. You don't need to interact with the people in front of you and learn social niceties and how to make conversation. You don't need that because I can just sit there on my phone and go. And everybody's doing that, right? Everybody's doing that.
It was bad enough when you had TV. Then
Yeah.
you had like texting and Facebook and YouTube. Now you've got TikTok and Chat GPT, and it's just so bad. And it's really like, how do you even have a human connection with anybody? It seems impossible. So it's not good. That may be the biggest problem of them
It's
all.
not good.
Even if you had all the minorities out, you still don't have a social fabric.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's a good point, too.
There's something deeply sad and hollow about, the way the world works now.
Yes, no, that's a good point, too, is that even if I feel like because people are totally overlooking the technology aspect, even if you had all your political goals, you got all the immigrants out, you closed the borders, and you had a good roaring economy, it's like you still are left with this technological machine that is isolating people, turning people into freaks, affirming any weird identity they want through their Discord servers, pulling them away from real world community, satiating their weird sexual fetishes as well. Because you have the outlet of pornography at any moment. These outlets, these technologies have created these outlets, these things that are not quite the thing. And I think that's what we're feeling. We're not actually getting the real thing, but it's close enough to where, and it's safe enough, right? That's the big thing. It's close enough and it's safe enough to where I don't have to go out there and risk rejection. I don't have to go out there and risk social, faux pas. I can just make do with my Discord server. But now, even increasingly, I can make do with my chatbot, right? My AI chatbot. And I think that's not, a lot of these technologies, specifically the chatbots, they just reflect what you're already saying. They just reflect and tell you what you want to fucking hear. And that's not conducive to a good culture or society. It's not going to breed anything. It's just narcissism, right? Isn't it a narcissist, right? He's looking into the water at his own reflection, and he can't. It's like, what are you going to be doing? What's he going to be doing? He's not going to be creating anything. He's not going to be making anything of value. There's going to be no culture, even if, the political things that people talk about, not that they're not important, but this kind of utopian idea people have in their minds. It's like, oh, if we just do this one thing, it's going to be my 1950s trad wife, and I'm going to be, and it's like, no, I don't think that's actually going to happen. I think that our culture is absolutely, like he said, hollowed out from technology, and it's isolating. And even further than that, like culture kind of requires pressures, right? It requires external pressures to actually breed. It requires fate. It requires chance. It requires kind of the chaos of life in order to actually breed an authentic, organic culture in society. And you're kind of doing this with the people around you. And you're making do with the people around you. You're creating a society, you're creating culture, and making through these kind of hard times, these hardships. And from those hardships, that's what breeds connection. That's what breeds art. That's what breeds philosophy. That's what breeds these things, right? And it's like, if we live in this super safe, super clinical, super sterile society, that technology, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You don't ever have to take a risk. If you don't have to take a risk, like there really is nothing of value there. It's all just stagnant. I don't know. There's something about that is deeply hollow, like he's saying. It's like taking the chaos of life, the negatives, and transforming it into positive traditions, a positive community. And if your whole society is controlled and isolated, like, I don't think you're going to get that. I don't know. What do you think? Chat, am I Am I off base here? Hey, Alexandra, good to see you in chat. People can get flip phones without the internet. I think I'm about to do that. I actually think I have a flip phone somewhere in a drawer that I need to bust out. I think I might actually do that. That is one thing I think people maybe should be doing. Maybe you can't get completely away from the internet and the controlled technocracy, but maybe you could take small steps individually. Our culture has rapidly generated into an environment that on its own does not allow for avoiding habitual sin. Right. It's this, it's sin, but it's completely devoid of morality. It's like, it's just ease. It's just ease of access. It's like unbridled gluttony. And, the pressures of life, the natural pressures of life, that's where you get the new ideas, right? When your back's up against the wall and it kind of pressurizes a piece of coal into a diamond, right? It kind of contorts it and conforms it into something new and an expression of something new based on the circumstances of life, of fate. But we don't have these things anymore. Everybody wants everything to be a for sure thing all the time. Everybody wants everything to be optimized. That's why I never understood Peter Thiel saying, well, we're living in a stagnant time and we need to break through. I don't think more technology is going to help us in that front. I think it's just going to cause us to be distracted even more, cause us to live more safe lives. And that's that. I don't think we're going to actually have any new culture doesn't exist in America anymore. Everything is just renditions of years past. It messes with your relationships with God, others, and makes silence almost impossible, but God speaks in the silence. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why people don't want the silence. I think that's a big part. People don't want the silence. They want the noise, the constant. I mean, have you ever gone over to anybody's house and they leave the TV on the whole time? This has happened to me so many times where they leave the ads going, full volume ads, the commercials. I'm like, can we mute this shit? No. We cannot have a moment's thought. We cannot have silence ever. We always have to have something on. Because we cannot be alone with our mortality. We cannot be alone with our own thoughts. We cannot allow God in. We have to keep the noise up. We have to be drinking all the time. We have to be fidgeting. We have to have our TikTok on. We have to be brain rotting, goon maxing, jester maxing, if you will. Because we don't want to come to terms that maybe what we're doing is wrong. Yeah, I don't know, something to that. I always mute. Yeah, I always mute that shit. I'll sit there in silence. Silence and sitting and being still is so underrated, man. I learned that on an airplane ride to Las Vegas. I didn't have my phone because there was no Wi-Fi. Flew Spirit. Big mistake. And I just had to sit there and stare in the dark because my passenger fell asleep instantly. And I just sat there and I thought about greatness. I thought about greatness. I had some things I was writing about that I should return to. And I think some of it had to do with I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. This was like 6 years ago. But it was about the pressures of life. Something about the same, similarly of what we're talking about now, the pressures of life kind of molding people into a position of strength. Like going to the gym, working out, right? You have to go through these hardships in order to see to the other side and see what you're made of. But like I said, you can't get that in a controlled environment like the one we live in today. Anyways, very interesting perspective. I think it would behoove him to talk about technology more. I think it would behoove everybody to talk about technology a bit more because I don't feel like a lot of people are. It's almost like people are still living in like the 20th century. And maybe that's how they want it. I always thought the Hitler talk too was really weird. That was like a big thing on X where people were talking about Hitler. I'm like, Hitler, like, dog, like, look, I mean, I don't know. You could have interesting conversations and talk about what was true about World War II or what was true about this. That's fine, but like to be like that's your idol, that's your guy is like, dog, that's gone. That's over. That period of time is over. And there's maybe parts or like Rome. Yeah, I think about the Roman Empire frequently. It's like Rome is gone, bro. I mean, there's like reflections of it in modern day, and that you can glean some things from it, but I think people get too autistic about the image of these things and they just want to return to it. And it's just like, that's just not going to happen, bro. Rome is not totally gone. You know what I mean? The Roman Empire, like those days, it's like, there's comparisons you can make about America, Pax Americana, but like, it's just completely different, dude. Clearly, it's completely different. Inceldom and social atomization is literally just because social media. Yeah, and I think trans identity is as well. There was that famous 4chan post where, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, your teenager comes up to you and says, I want to be a toaster. And your dad smacks him on the back of the head and says, you're an idiot. You're not a toaster. You're a boy. Now we got work to do. Okay. But now you say, I'm a toaster. And guess what? You can get online, get in your Discord group. And there's 1,000 people who are affirming the same toaster fetish. Yay! Yay! We're all toasters now. Yay! I'm a girl. Yay! I'm a furry. Okay. But it's like, this is the thing, inceldom, social atomization. This is what people have wrongfully longed for. I think a lot of it's mostly American, I think, but it's to minimize risk and to minimize negative feelings and to minimize hardships, right? We want to move away from people. We want to atomize ourselves. We want technology to bridge the gap to the just enough, almost, but not quite the thing, but almost enough, because I don't want to have to deal with my family. I don't want to have to deal with my neighbors. I don't want to have to deal with the scary social situations at church or at school or whatever. So I'm going to do online school, and I'm going to interact with my chat bot, and I'm going to watch my pornography, and I'm going to do online work. I don't even know, some work from home thing, because I don't want to have to deal with the potential risks of going out there into the wilderness because it's scary. It's icky. And it's like, that's what we want. We want the ease. We want to be liberated. There's this like liberation philosophy of like liberating us from our humanity. We're liberating us from our work. Women are liberating themselves from childbirth. We're liberating ourselves from having to cook, clean, any of this stuff. And it's coming to a tipping point. It's coming to a tipping point. I think people are starting to smell it. They're like, wait a minute. There's some good shit about life and the wilderness of life that I actually miss and I actually want. I miss my friend group. I think that's partially why people go back to church as well, because they want that community. I miss the community. What happened to the kids outside playing? What happened to the trick-or-treaters? They're gone. They're all inside playing Fortnite. Or they're not even here to begin with because nobody's having kids anymore. Or they got aborted. I don't even know. Because they're too much of a hassle, too much work. And I think ultimately we're getting to that point where we're going to push even further, and we're going to see the phone integrated in our bodies. We're going to see transhumanism. I think in our lifetime, we're going to start to see this. I think we're already sort of seeing soft transhumanism right now with augmentation, bodily augmentation, clavicular types. We're already seeing that. And I think ultimately the next step is transhumanism to rid us from the last stage, which is our mortality. That's the final stage. That's the final icky. I don't want to deal with the unknown. I don't want to deal with oblivion. Ew. Gross. Miss me with that shit. No way, man. No way. I know. I couldn't do it. If somebody offered me
$20.
that.
There is this
If somebody offered me that, hey man, we'll give you transhumanism, we'll give you a robotic brain and a robotic heart and all this stuff, and you can live here forever. I'll be stuck here forever? You're saying I'm going to be stuck here forever? No, I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. I'm cool. My body would probably love it, but my soul would suffer greatly. Anybody ever see the movie In Time? No, but I literally just saw that. I was scrolling on Tubi. Shout out to Tubi. And it was there. And I thought, oh, I've heard about this. Don't tell me. You are spoiling it, you cretin. I know the basic premise of it, but I want to watch it. That's something I got to watch. I also have on my list a 2001 Space Odyssey that I'm going to try and watch this weekend. I've never seen it. It was apparently my grandfather's favorite movie. Videodrome is on there, and Hoodwinked. I haven't seen Hoodwinked in a long time, so we're going to watch that. We're going to check that out. And then In Time, maybe the next one, the next thing. Anyways, we got to move on. It's 8 o'clock. It is Schizo Hour. Schizo Hour. Perfect. We're talking about the end times here. We're going to talk about the end times for Schizo Hour. Isn't that perfect how that just outlined perfectly? This is how I want every stream to go. We have a good first hour, and then we roll right into Schizo Hours where we get to talk about conspiracies, the end times, the eschaton, whatever. That's perfect. But before we get into that, we're going to quickly take a moment. I'm going to grab some more beverage, and I will be right back. Don't you dare touch that dial. We're back. This is fire. the heck? That's the music we were listening to by Jungle Wizard. Another dope ass algo poll. You guys like it? Check it out. Give him a like, give him a sub. Anyways. Where were we at? Right there. What was I about to say? I was about to say something. All right. We have a lot of the usual suspects tonight. Good seeing everybody. Thank you all for being here. Make sure to like the stream. Make sure to subscribe. Jacob on YT. Follow me on X. Same exact thing. Helps me out a ton. We had a new guy in here. Tyler was in here. I don't know if he left. He probably dipped out, but it was good to see you. We haven't seen Pigeon Post in a while. Pigeon Post, if you can hear us, we need your audience. We are requiring your audience tonight. I haven't seen who's the UK brother? I want to say Claude. That's not it. Ludwig, yes, Ludwig. Forgive me, Ludwig. Yes, we haven't seen him in a little while either. Last time he was in here, he dropped in just for the book recommendation. Hey, anybody got a book recommendation? Sure, buddy. Come on in. Liked as soon as I walked in the door. Let's go. Vote of confidence. Let's go. We need more people like Alexandra. We need more people like Alexandra in chat. Come in and like that shit. I think he said he was in Canada. No, that was Pigeon Post. Pigeon Post is in Canada. Ludwig, I believe, is in Wales or UK somewhere. I don't know. Let's go. All right, so we're going to get onto this little topic. Something I've thought about, I wanted to talk about is the Iran war and maybe broader eschatological implications. Now, I'm not amazingly versed in this, and I don't even know necessarily how much stock they should put into this stuff, because you could probably go crazy looking at this stuff all day and say, oh, that's that, this, you know, it is schizo hours. Okay. It is schizo hours. So we got to go through a little bit of something schizophrenic. And they recently had Professor Zhang on Tucker Carlson, which this guy is weird. Let me just say that on the outset. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know where he came from. I don't know who he's being paid by. Is it the CCP? Is it Peter Thiel? Is it George Soros? I don't know. I have no idea. But he's doing all these podcasts nonstop. He's on I feel like I see him everywhere. Do you guys see this guy everywhere? I see him everywhere. I don't even know really how he got famous. He's like the professor guy. He's like the new Jordan Peterson. He's the professor guy who had maybe one good take, and then everybody's like, "Oh, you're a genius. Okay, let's push you up to the front." But I'm just skeptical, of people like this when they're just everywhere. So take him with a grain of salt. Take what he says with a grain of salt. I also think he's like a Gnostic too. I think I saw that. So again, weird. But he's here on Tucker Carlson talking about the building of the third temple and in Israel, and potentially that could be on the horizon. He's saying what the saints, St. Paisios especially, the Orthodox saint, has said going back many decades, the signs of our times and many and increasing. Again, take it with a grain of salt. Do your own research and come to the conclusion you want to come to. I'm not going to sit there and say, it's the end times, because no man knows the hour. Because some people really want to hinge on that. I've been hearing that my whole life. Jesus is coming back soon. He's coming back soon. All right. You don't know that, bro. Nobody knows that. So take this with a grain of salt. That's all I'm saying. I just want to preface that going into this.
Components of this plan, but the basic components are, one is the creation of the nation state of Israel, which happened in 1948. And then you need to have the building of the third temple, which requires the destruction of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is actually, which could happen during this war, given what we've seen so far. So the Israelis have closed off the Al-Aqsa Mosque, as well as other religious sites like the Church of Holy Sepulchre, to tourists these past few days. There's rumors that for the past 2 years, the Israelis have been conducting these archaeological digs under the Al-Aqsa Mosque to basically destroy the foundations of the mosque, so that they can conduct a controlled demolition of the mosque and blame it on a missile strike from the Iranians. And there's actually talk among the Israelis of using this plan to ignite a war between the Arabs and the Persians. So the Al-Aqsa Mosque needs to be destroyed for the third temple. They also talk about this war of Gog and Magog between Israel and the entire world. Then the coming of the Jewish Messiah, the creation of the Greater Israel Project, the return of all Jews from the diaspora. So there are different components to this plan. If you just observe geopolitical events, we're seeing these events.
He's saying we see these events unfolding. Yeah, interestingly enough, I don't know if that's true about them digging under the Al-Aqsa Mosque, but it is true that him saying that they're going to blame it on Iran or point the finger and say that was they did it, it was a missile that hit, has been happening quite a bit, right? Iran's been bombing. There's been bombings of the countries surrounding Iran, and just recently there was a missile that went into Turkey, and they're everybody's pointing fingers at each other. Iran's saying, no, that wasn't us, that was Israel. Israel's pointing and saying it's Iran. And that's like, hey, if that's what's going on here, they're going to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque and then blame it on Iran. This is setting the stage for that. Secondly, what did he say in the end here?
They also talk about this war of Gog and Magog between Israel and the entire world. Then the coming of the
that part I think is interesting too. Something I think about in terms of overhyping the Holocaust and anti-Semitism, and not that anti-Semitism is not a thing, but the hysteria surrounding it by Jewish, the heads of state and prominent Jewish figures. To me, some of it I've been thinking recently is that I wonder how much of that is propaganda, not only for non-Jews, but also for Jews, to keep the people who don't believe in the nation state of Israel, who don't believe in Zionism, to keep them focused on how much the world hates them and how much and how afraid they should be. Similarly, we see this with like Black people. It's like the Black community nonstop gets shelled with this propaganda about how much white people want to kill you and how much white people hate you and all this stuff, and racism, right? Exact similar concept, because then what happens is that the Black community largely can offset the white community. They can be a kind of counterweight if they know they can pit those two groups against each other. And if they can do that with anti-Semitism and continue to drill into non-Zionist Jews, but also the younger generations, and keep pushing this kind of anti-Semitism forward, it might eventually, I don't know how quickly, but it might eventually cause people to think, oh, I need to move back to my homeland. I need to move back to the nation state of Israel. And maybe that's how you get this mass, I was gonna say exodus, but I don't think that's the right term to use, this mass flood of Jews back to the homeland. I don't know. Propaganda for their own people. Absolutely. I never really thought of it that way. Like, I never really thought like shilling so hard, because obviously I'm not Jewish. And so from my angle, I'm like, hey, that's not right. That's not correct. We don't think like that. That's bullshit. You're just being hysterical. But no, that hysteria is part of it. It's to imbue the Jewish population with hysteria as well, and to get them onto the Zionist side, because there are Jews out there who are not Zionist. So they don't believe in this nation state, this modern nation state of Israel. First casualty of war is the truth. Absolutely. And it is on full display on the internet. Oh my gosh, man. Netanyahu has 6 fingers. Netanyahu's dead. what? I don't even, all this crap that's coming out, man, from the Middle East, it's like, I don't trust what Trump is saying. I don't trust what the Iranians are saying. I just don't. The only thing I really know is that there's something happening. There is a bombing occurring. There is an attack happening. Other than that, I don't know who's doing what. I don't know who's winning. I don't know. I do think that this is going to be not a swift victory, as Trump wants to put it. I do think that's a load of bullshit. And they're already pushing out the date on when this is going to be. They said a few days. Okay, now a few weeks. Now they're saying September. It's going to be probably, I would say, if Iraq and Afghanistan and that shit show took 20 years, Iran is much more coordinated. They have they have a much stronger military. This is going to take way longer. It's going to take like 40 years, man, if we're actually going to be like trying to topple this whole country. Just 90 million people, right, live in Iran. They're surrounded by mountains. Like, dude, this is going to be, especially with the ground invasion, which the Pentagon is gearing up to do. Holy, this is going to take forever. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So now we got Timmy D here, Tim Dillon, talking about potential plans for a world war, which, you know, it's like you see this common pattern. I see this common pattern. Maybe it's just who I'm watching, but I mean, I don't think Tim Dillon is the foremost expert on geopolitics or the end times or any of that stuff. But even he's talking about this. And Peter Thiel's out there gallivanting in Rome and whatnot, talking about the Antichrist and all this eschatological speak. So it's like, it's in the zeitgeist, which is honestly very scary that it's like we're even talking about this in such a flippant way, and it's proliferating to even comedians, right? That's kind of scary. Is that not scary? Is that just, is that just me? Time to stock up again? Yeah. Stock up with beans and bullets, right? Let's see what Timmy has to say.
When I look at the rise of identity politics and how troubling that is, the only course of action that I could think of would be a world war that would eliminate half the population in a period of 24 months. How many people live on Earth?
What?
7.5 billion?
That's a bold claim. That's an assertion.
That needs to be whacked in half. Population data of Earth.
8 billion, something like that?
8.3 billion people. 4 billion of those people need to die in the next 24 months. And I don't say this lightly, and I don't say this to try to be a negative, a Debbie Downer, whatever. I'm saying quite accurately, and I think this has been decided, I don't think I'm breaking news, 4 billion people will have to be killed over the next 24 months.
I think that's pretty breaking news.
Finally start to get back to
I have not heard this anywhere.
Here. And I think that's the only way to do it. I thought about it in different ways. I thought about it's like, well, we could make turkey more affordable. What are we doing? Eliminate half the population in a global war. A global war. I mean, a James Cameron Avatar style war where 4 billion people are vaporized. We're going to use nukes. We're going to use nuclear weapons and hypersonic missiles and hydrogen bombs. And large swaths of the planet are going to be uninhabitable for a period of time. But not all of them. Not all of them. In fact, lots of the planet will be just fine. And there's a lot of underground bases that people have been kind of getting ready for this type of event.
Yes, Alex Karp just bought a bunker. This is interesting. He's saying, it's not new. It's not a new thing. It's like, I don't know. I haven't heard many people say that half the population needs to die. I do think there is a depopulation agenda. Absolutely. But I don't know if it's going to be 4 billion people are going to be gone in 24 months. That's a quick ass time, dude. That's a quick ass time. I do know they want to shrink the population big time. The Malthusian elite, right? Absolutely think whether or not they actually believe that we have finite resources or not, but that is kind of that's the excuse is that, well, if we just have rampant population growth and there's not going to be enough resources for people on Earth, so we got to dwindle down the population. But furthermore, I think also this transhumanist agenda is a problem for the elites too. You can't have this many people on Earth and say we're going to have people live forever or a long period of time, right? Even if they don't say, okay, you're like, you can live forever, but let's say they allow people to live for 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, like that. You cannot have 8 billion people on Earth living 300 years. That's just crazy. And maybe the technology's there. Maybe the technology's ready to go for transhumanism. They got the chips. We're going to put them in your brains and we'll allow people to live a lot longer than they do. But we can't actually like reveal that it's there without significantly diminishing the population. Aren't there quite a few take two. Aren't there quite a few countries that are actually dealing with too few people, unsustainable birth rates? Yeah, that's what I'm saying is that it really doesn't make sense to be like, well, we need to wipe out 6 billion people when the projections for like China are like brutal, right? They're like, they're bad, right? With South Korea, it looks brutal. They're like, South Korea might not even be a country in my lifetime. That's how bad it's getting over there. But maybe they're figuring, are they just saying we can't wait any longer? We can't do that. We can't just keep trickling people out. COVID, somebody mentioned COVID in chat. Was that a plan to shave off the edges? I don't know. Maybe COVID was actually it shot an implantable device in people's arms, and that was how they're going to get the aliens to talk to people. I think that's like, isn't that I got to read more. I got to read back up on this. It's been a while since I've read the Serge Monast Project Bluebeam, but I thought there was something in there about how they're going to have like a godlike figure talk to people, and it's going to have to, I could have sworn this was in there. Maybe it was something else, but I thought it was in there where they're going to have voices in people's heads. And maybe that's why here we go. Maybe that's why they sliced the pie the way they did, Democrat versus Republican, because Republicans are already largely more religious, and already maybe a lot of the evangelical end times people are already more geared towards something like that, something like a God coming back. So they don't need that. That's fine. If they don't want to get the vaccine, that's fine. We don't care because they're already buying into this end times propaganda that we've been feeding them. But the people we do need to worry about are the Democrat, the atheist people. We're going to have to get them on our side. This is Schizo Hours, people. Listen, this is Schizo Hours. So we had to inject them with some sort of speaking device, so then it will talk to them in their minds, in their heads at the right time, at the right moment. We have an implantable microphone in people. Too schizo? Is this too schizo? You have to somehow turn non-believers into believers. How do we do that? Ooh, interesting. And then we create that. Then that's how we create the one world alien government. I don't know. Too schizo. Maybe it's too schizo. We might need to reel it back in a little bit. I'm just riffing. Hey, we're just riffing here. It's 8:26. It's still in Schizo Hours. It's fine. This is a correct time to do it. 8 o'clock hour on a Friday night. Listen.
This is the type of reset we need. Again, I don't want people to get mad at me for this, because every time I say this, when you go to dinner with people and they say, what do you think happens? And I go, I think, quite honestly, we have to eliminate half the world's population in the next 24 months. You would not believe the attitude that you get.
Yes,
Truly,
you do get
the judgment.
Yes, the looks.
And I don't want any of that. I'm simply telling you that with 8.3 billion people all doing their own thing, that's kind of run out.
Pick a head voice, Trump, JD Vance, or Elon. It's not going to be any of those. It's going to be Einsoff.
But we can't kill everyone. So we need to
Real ones, no.
eliminate half. And listen, am I open to more than half? Yes. Yes. 8.3 billion people. If we could get rid of, hear me out, 4 to 6 billion people in the next 24 months, and we were left with 2 billion people in a mix of underground and overground, kind of like solariums and kind of nice areas, and we restarted agriculture and technology and all this stuff. We're not going to lose all of that either. We have it. But we just, raw materials-wise, just really kind of eliminated many of the people on the globe, 4 to 6 billion people. And how would we do it? A nuclear war with China immediately. Not immediately, but within a month. And we do a nuclear war with China. Europe will be
before
destroyed.
the next full
destroyed.
moon.
They'll be destroyed. It would destroy most of life on Earth. And that would just, again, this would be a kind of nice reset.
The Great Reset.
Listen, 5 years from now, the people that are left, and it's not going to be all of us. It might not be me, but the people that are left are going to really appreciate, because no one at that point, when literally half to 3/4 of the world's population was just vaporized, incinerated, died horrible deaths. I mean, people walking around, glowing green, nuclear, you know what I mean? Bad. Once that happens, on the other side of this, people
just
are
not very
really
good.
going to come together. And they're going to realize that, there's enough resources for everyone. Then, not now, then they will realize, there's enough for all of us. There's enough for all. And it's going to be amazing. But we just have to get on with that. And I know that's going to be a period of hardship for a lot of people. And my heart goes out to most of them. And it will require the near destruction of all life on Earth. But there's no other way to do. What else would you do? I don't understand. Like, you could, I guess, prosecute those people that were having sex with kids. But that seems so complicated. They all have lawyers. Just destroy all life on Earth. I don't know it. The housing
Wipe
market
the
is so
slate clean.
artificially manipulated. Making homes affordable again, it's really not that easy. And then the boomers are going to get mad because they're going to go, oh, my money's in my house. Why are you stealing my money? So you want them mad at you? Just destroy 6 billion people. If you do that, on the flip side, people are going to be a lot happier. I don't know what else you could do. You could honor international law and different bodies and try to come up with diplomatic solutions. I mean, I guess you could theoretically use technology as a way to bridge the gap between people and educate them. Or, very simply, we could destroy all life on Earth. And I think that's the plan.
Maybe the original plan was to sunset people, just sunset the population, diminishing over generations. But maybe there's been too much pushback, right? Maybe there's just been too much pushback. People like us, and we're like, hey, what's going on? What's going on over here? So now they're like, okay, fine. You know what? Time to go kinetic. You guys don't want to die peacefully? Fine. We'll go kinetic. Hey, that's a way to do it. Wipe the slate clean. Okay, so now, with what's going on in Iran, we have a prophecy here in the Orthodox Church that I've heard around places, and I don't know, again, don't put too much stock into this, But they talk about how the end times, a signifier of when the end times will start, will not only be Iran, conflict with Iran, but Turkey as well. Turkey being next on the chopping block, which we're about to see in a clip here, is that the former prime minister of Israel was talking about how once Iran's a problem, but guess what? Turkey is increasingly becoming a problem. And so we got this clip here. He's gonna go through this quote here by Elder Theodoros.
There's a prophecy recently commemorated and by Metropolitan Neophytos, which says that one day, this was uttered years ago, 20 years ago, by an ascetic in Crete, Theodore, an ascetic in Crete. He says, one day you'll be sipping coffee, you will hear the news that the Israelis have hit the nuclear program of Persia. That will be when the major worldwide events will start. At the same time, another sign, either shortly before or after, Erdogan, the head of Turkey, will fall, and this will be the sign of the great events that were mentioned in these prophecies.
Και στο τέλος τον παγκόσμιο πόλεμο, ο οποίος ξεκίνησε, όπως είπαμε, από τη Συρία, Ουκρανία, Ισραήλ, αλλά μετά την Περσία, όταν χτυπήσουν το πυρηνικό πρόγραμμα της Περσίας οι Εβραίοι, τόσο η Κίνα όσο και η Ρωσία θα υποχρεωθούν να αντιδράσουν. Οι προφητείες λένε των Αγίων, και πρόσεξε, όχι μόνο των Ελλήνων Αγίων, και των Ρώσων και των Ρουμάνων και των Σέρβων, ότι θα ρίξουν πυρηνικά. Και το εκπληκτικό, ξέρετε τι είναι? Ο Πούτιν και η Κίνα δεν το θέλουν αυτό. Το θέλει πάρα πολύ η νέα τάξη πραγμάτων. Τους εξωθούν. Αυτή είναι η λέξη η ελληνική. Τους πιέζουν.
Interesting. Now, whether or not this is that time, okay, that remains to be seen. But it is just interesting that this was prophesied 20 plus years ago. And maybe this guy was just maybe he was just a big brains geopolitical expert like Professor Zhang, and he just could see the writing on the wall. But I don't know. Now you have former Israeli PM Naftali Bennett shortly before the Iranian, the current one, not the one in June, but the one that we're in right now, right before this Iranian incursion, stating that Turkey is the next one we're going to go after.
A new Turkish threat is emerging. I want to be very clear.
February 17th.
Turkey and Qatar have gained influence in Syria, are seeking influence elsewhere and everywhere throughout the region. And from here, I warn, Turkey is the new Iran.
Bro's waiting for claps.
Erdogan is sophisticated, dangerous, and he seeks to encircle Israel. And while some senior Israelis were on Qatar's payroll, Qatar and Turkey are nourishing the Islamic Brotherhood monster that is growing and eventually might become as dangerous as the one created by Iran. Turkey and Qatar are gaining influence not only in Syria, but also in Gaza, through the front door, and everywhere, and trying to create a new choke ring. Turkey is trying to flip Saudi Arabia against us and establish a hostile Sunni axis with nuclear Pakistan.
Why are so many chats not showing up in the chat box? I don't know. I don't have any. I have it set to live chat. I don't feel, is there, let me see if I can, is there a thing that I can filter? Moderation activity? YouTube filters certain comments. Yeah. Whoa, okay, wait, I don't want to click on that. All right, I'll look into this, Alexandra. I don't know why that seems to, because I know this has been a thing that's been, it's an ongoing problem. But I'll have to look into that. So I apologize if you're posting stuff. Maybe make it a little more, YouTube friendly. Maybe if you're saying like D to all J's, maybe that's not a very optical thing to post in my chat. Okay. No big deal. I'm more interested in which specific things trip the Autobot. Yeah. Why did Trump get on board with all this? Because he is the one. He is the chosen one. I don't know. I don't think he is specifically like anything. I don't know if there's anything specifically like important about Trump himself. I just think that he is a good vessel for getting people on board with this and for actually doing things that they want him to do. No, it's not me. I'm seeing others post in chat. Oh, okay. I don't know who else has been saying. I don't know. But so anyways, I don't know if this is a sign of what's to come, if this is a sign of the end times. But it is interesting to see how this is lining up, how this is going, where it seemed like they wanted to broker kind of a peace deal with Turkey. I was looking up the clean break memo, and this was kind of their strategy for that, is to topple these Syria, Iraq, Iran, all these areas. But then with Turkey, they said they were going to foster kind of a peace agreement to help facilitate the region. But are they switching on that? Are they going back on that and saying, look, no, these guys are actually a threat. We need to take them out. And if that is the case, then an Erdogan falls, then maybe there is something to this prophecy. I don't know. And now we got today. This came out today. This is breaking news. Turkey today. Erdogan says Zionist Israel will pay a price for killings. So things are heating up. Erdogan seemingly hostile towards Israel. President Erdogan stated on Eid al-Fitr that Zionist Israel will pay the price for killing hundreds and thousands of people in the Middle East. Israeli authorities banned Eid prayers at Al-Aqsa Mosque in occupied East Jerusalem, leaving the old city resembling a ghost town on the Muslim holiday. Oof. Maybe to provoke Arabs, provoke Muslims into attacking, so then they can blow up the mosque and say, it was you guys who did it. Look, you guys did it. In the fog of war. And we have the man himself, the court philosopher of Putin's administration of Russia, Alexander Dugin, today saying this at 6 a.m. Just words, but beware, Turkey is next. And Erdogan here saying Zionist Israel has killed hundreds of thousands of people. This whole clip is in Arabic or whatever, some Middle Eastern desert language. So I don't know why they didn't put any subtitles on it, but yeah. So it's interesting. Okay, now even people in Russia are starting to see that this might be what's to come. King, what did you mean head voice? He's talking about what I said about how if the COVID vaccine was to implant some sort of audio receiver in people so that the powers that be can relay God in people's heads, that they hear a voice in their heads to give over the allegiance to this new world order. Oh, yeah, I shouldn't say that. The NWO, the fresh global system. Maybe we should call it that from now on. The fresh global system to get people on board, people who are non-believers into believing. That was my schizo take of the night, of the week. So, hey, maybe that was the whole point, was to get the atheists, the people who place all their faith in the government and in these institutions, people who don't have faith in God. That would be more, the Republican types who didn't get the vaccine, who were super skeptical, who already are religious. We don't need to worry about them getting on board with a religion. We need to get the people who are atheists on board with a religion. How do we do that? Well, we put a receiver in them and have the voice of God speaking to them. Yeah, that tripped the bot earlier, the fresh global system. Yeah, let's just start calling it the FGS. The fresh global system. They don't like when we talk about their plans. They don't like us speculating on their plans. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with Iran. I'm not trying to be a doomsdayer, soothsayer here, but it is just, you know, you hear these things. I've heard this rumbling about Turkey and the end times, and I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I do think there's going to be a major conflict coming, though. I do feel as though there's going to be a major conflict. It's been boiling for quite some time. This is like a release valve. Iran is a release valve. But maybe there's, you know, the backup plan is like, okay, if people just let us do this, Israel gets what they want. They expand into the Greater Israel Project. And that's that. And if they don't, if they try and stop us, if Russia, if China tries to stop them, whoever tries to stop them, it's nuclear weapons, and it's a wipe the slate clean, or potentially a Project Bluebeam, right? To do fresh global system kind of route. I mean, I think that's going to be happening regardless, but I guess there's just the means at how we get there. How did these people get there? I don't know. Okay, let's move along. We're going to move along to the Joseph Kent. The Joseph Kent thing. Oh, I forgot about Project Bluebeam. I was just talking about it for like the last hour. We're going to get, I want to do and chat, let me know if this would be interesting, because I guess you did come late, Alexandra, so you might not have heard it, but I'm thinking about doing an alien stream, an alien PSYOP stream, Project Bluebeam stream, Project Blue stream. I'll title it that. This new Disclosure Day Spielberg movie's coming out, which is, I think, a form of predictive programming, social engineering, in sorts. This kind of whole alien narrative, I think, has been crafted and concocted. And I know bits and pieces about the origins of it and how wacky it was and where it came from. If you look at, well, I'll maybe save that for the stream, but there's things about it that I would like to delve into further, and maybe I'll just devote a whole stream to it. I'll go and reread Serge Monast, Project Bluebeam, his whole thesis. I will get clips. I'll get, you know, all kinds of stuff. I'll talk about the history of it. Maybe I'll do that when does this Disclosure Day come out? I'm going to go see this when it comes out. June 12th. No, when is June 12th? June 12th is a Friday. Would you look at that? Maybe I'll see it on Saturday. I'll do the stream on Friday, the 12th. I'll have this big Project Bluebeam stream, and it'll prep me for the movie. What is the secret of the Denver airport? Oh, look into it. There's a lot of weird shit. That's maybe for another stream. Maybe there's a whole other stream topic, the Denver airport. Anyways, all right, we're going to move along to the Joe Kent segment. Now, these two segments, the Joe Kent, Tucker Carlson thing, are kind of intertwined into one. And they touch upon a lot of things that we've talked about here on the stream. So it's a juicy main course here that I think everybody is in for a treat on this one. Where they keep aliens or something. You just have to look into it, Alexandra. You're going to have to look into it for yourself. I will not spoil it for you. We'll have to delve into that maybe at some point as well. Anyways, so Joe Kent, he was the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, resigned over the Iran war. He says, I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. Ooh, that's pretty good. But, you know, you're a couple years too late, bud. You're a couple years too late. I feel like we've been talking about this in our spheres for, well, some people have been talking about it, for 100 years, right? 100 plus years. But in our spheres online, politically, we've been talking about this for 10 plus years. So, hey, better late than never, right? Better late than never, I guess. Or Or is it, right? That's what I think. Is it? What exactly is going on here? Is he actually affirming this? Is he actually affirming this position? Is it well, we've already done the dirty work, so let's move on to the next thing? Or is it to propel him to a potential 2028 presidential pick? Maybe. A lot of interesting things going on here. And I think partially they can see where the wind's blowing. They're still going to do what Israel wants. They're still going to, I think, complete this war, or at least as much of it as they can. But I think that there might be a setting up for 2028 to find kind of and I don't even know, Thomas Massey, he says a lot of good things too. Lauren Boebert just said something recently about it. And you're kind of creating this dichotomy on the right wing, the non-Israel people, the America First people, and the Israel First people, right? That's how they've sliced it. And I wonder if they're seeing, okay, they see where the wind's blowing. It's blowing against the Israel law. People were, that favorability, that's going away. And people they're not going to be able to buy into somebody who is friendly to Israel. So we have to propose a new candidate. And obviously, J.D. Vance has been basically silent. He's basically been completely silent the last couple months. And I think his chances of a 2028 election are out the window. But maybe they could prop this guy up. He can be the new forerunner, the new anti-Zionist guy. And maybe J.D. Vance was the guy who's going to be issuing in the technocracy. Maybe this guy will be the new J.D. Vance. A little switcheroo, maybe. I can't get on the alien train. I'm not on the alien train. I'm off the alien train. I'm flipping the bird to the alien train. I'm saying the alien train is fake and gay. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's a psyop. So he says, after much reflection, I've decided to resign from my position as director of National Counterterrorism Center, effective today. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war. I support the values and the foreign policies you campaigned on in 2024. That's dubious. I feel like he was never that against Israel. So, okay. Until June 2025, you understood that the wars in the Middle East were a trap that robbed America of the precious lives of our patriots and depleted the wealth and prosperity of our nation. In your first administration, you understood better than any modern president how to decisively apply military power without getting us drawn into never-ending wars. You demonstrated this by killing Qasem Soleimani and by defeating ISIS. Okay, so then he just goes on here, talks about Israel. Iran posed no imminent threat. As a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times, as a Gold Star husband who lost my beloved wife Shannon in a war manufactured by Israel, I cannot support sending the next generation off to fight and die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people. Okay. So basically he does this whole public, 846,000 likes on X, 99 million views. I wonder if this was pushed to the front of the algorithm. You do this whole song and dance for the public. And everybody's like, Gigabased, awesome. He's our new savior. That's all what they want you to do. They want you to buy into a king, a new savior, a savior. Oh, he's going to come save us. Joe Kent, pretty boy Joe Kent's going to come and save us. Just like Trump was supposed to be. But that fell flat on his face and has disillusioned me to this type of thinking completely. Unless you count demons as aliens. You got to look into Aleister Crowley and Lamb. That's a little morsel. You want to look into something interesting, look into Lamb. Lam. It was a demon that Aleister Crowley conjured up. Looks very similar. Of course, politicians say things when running, but of course, everything eventually changes after elected. Right, that could be it too. It could be that it's not even about pivoting towards a new Republican Party or new philosophy, right? It could just be, here's a guy who's going to lie to you, and then as soon as he gets in, all bets off. I can do whatever I want. Okay. So right after this, Right after this, he's been doing the rounds. This is always the playbook. Isn't this always how it goes? It's like big thing in the media happens, and then person's on every one of these podcasts. This is the new media circuit, right? This is how we do it. He has this big show of I'm done, I'm resigning, even though, like, what the hell even was this position? Was this some useless crap ass position? Did you have no sway in whether or not they went to war? Then this is a stupid position anyways. It's just a sinecure or something. But he resigns from it. Oh, he resigned. Oh my gosh. Now to go on the circuit tour, get on all these podcasts, and here he is on Tucker Carlson.
Here's Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Here's Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act.
Okay, so that is his almost contemporaneous explanation, and it's not offhand. He reasons it out. He explains there's a logic chain there, and he says, we knew not that Iran was going to attack.
It's a script, you idiot.
Right? He said, we knew that Israel was going to attack Iran, and in retaliation for those attacks by Israel against Iran, Iran might attack American forces. So the imminent threat that the Secretary of State is describing is not from Iran, it's from Israel.
Exactly. And I think this speaks to the broader issue. Who is in charge of our policy in the Middle East? Who is in charge of when we decide to go to war or not? In this case, with what the Secretary described, and later on the President, later on the Speaker of the House, and the way the events played out, the Israelis drove the decision to take this action, which we knew would set off a series of events, meaning the Iranians would retaliate. Now, I think there's a potential there where we could have done several different things. We could have simply said to the Israelis, no, you will not. And if you do, then we will take something away from you.
Dude, this guy is so boring. I watched this whole podcast, this whole interview, and this dude is a snoozer, bro. But he basically admits in here straight up that there is a firewall between what information, what intelligence gets up to the administration and what leaks out, and that firewall is Zionist in nature, and that they are controlling the administration. So he straight up admits that in this interview. You guys check it out if you dare, but maybe don't watch it before bed because you'll probably fall asleep about a quarter of the way through. But yeah, this guy is a snoozer. He looks good. He looks presidential. He's got like a Superman thing going on, but he is a boring ass talker.
It's fine that we offer defense to Israel, but when we're providing the means for their defense, we get to dictate the terms of when they go on the offensive. Otherwise, they stand to lose that relationship. And the Israelis felt emboldened that no matter what they did, no matter what situation they put us in, that they could go ahead and take this action, and we would just have to react. And so that speaks to that relationship. But also, it just shows that there was a lobby pushing for us to go to war. I know we'll get into that later on in the statement, but we had a real potential, I think, knowing what we know of the Iranians and how they react, and in particular, how they react to President Trump's leadership. The Iranians, under President Trump's leadership, especially in his second term, they have shown that they take a very calculated approach to the escalation ladder. For instance, in the lead up to the 12-day war before Midnight Hammer, the Iranians didn't attack us. They were engaged in negotiations with us. When President Trump came back into office, they stopped their proxies who were attacking us under the Biden administration because they knew Biden was weak. They stopped their proxies from attacking us as well. So they knew President Trump was someone who wanted to negotiate, but more importantly, they knew that President Trump was not someone to mess with because he killed Qasem Soleimani. He killed Abu Mahdi Mohandas. He had defeated ISIS. They knew that President Trump was a man of action. He is militarily strong. And so they said, before we take an action,
you see like glazing,
we need to make sure that it's calculated. So I think in this scenario, even if the Israelis told us we're going to strike on this date at this time, and we didn't, try to negotiate with the Israelis and say, hey, we'll take something away from them, I think we still could have back-channeled to the Iranians and said, hey, if something happens here in the next couple of days, it's not us. We're still serious about negotiations, and we don't want to escalate this because it's well known what the Iranians' plans were. We knew that they were going to hit potentially our bases in the region, potentially our allies. We knew about the Straits of Hormuz. All of these things, I think, were fairly well known.
So now we got this clip from Vincent James saying, just 2 years ago, I told Joe Kent at a town hall that Israel controls our government and pushes us into war. And he responded by saying it was anti-Semitic to suggest this about our quote unquote greatest ally.
Yeah, hi. I've heard you talk a lot about the CCP's control over our government and institutions. Recently, I saw you disavowed Nicholas Fuentes for him discussing Israel's power through AIPAC, which has been labeled by congressmen the most powerful lobby in Washington, D.C. What makes you different from someone like Lindsey Graham when you refuse to acknowledge Israel's much stronger influence over our government and institutions?
My issue with what Nick was saying was about Hitler in particular.
No, the tweet. It's not, but it's not anti-Semitic to acknowledge.
When you talk about a country's influence, when you talk about a lobby's influence, that's completely and totally acceptable.
Right.
When you start talking about anti-Semitism, I completely and totally reject.
Well, the tweet was, I strongly condemn Nick Fuentes' politics, especially in regard to our ally Israel. That was the.
Because he said anti-Semitic things.
Do you mind elaborating on what some things that they do for us might be?
Kill terrorists.
We can do it better though, without their help. Well, they've never fought alongside us in any war though.
They fought a lot alongside us in the Japanese.
And also they I would say that they drag us into war more often than they keep us out of war.
That's not true.
I think
That's true.
I think it's absolutely true.
That is absolutely true. That's basically what the last 50 years of wars have been about. Incredible. So 2 years ago, he was on the Israel train. Now, if you want to say he had a change of heart and he's realizing, oh my gosh, that kid in his basement with his talk show was right. That's fine. You know, that's fine if he has that realization. Totally okay. You know, better late than never. But I just feel as though it's too little too late now that basically almost all of the region has been completely decimated. And also, it's like you're saying true things. I agree with what you said there, Joe Kent. I agree with all that in the Tucker clip. But you can say true things and point out truths about the world and still be paid and being pushed for a reason to say those things. I think that's like one of the scariest realizations I had with the internet, the current milieu, is that the propaganda is very complex. And you can't just say things. You can't just say, and you can't just push a line, because everybody has they have all the information at their fingertips, so they can quickly look stuff up. They can go and watch contrary evidence, contrary views. So you can't just like state something and have it be the case. 2 + 2 = 5. Like, you can't just do that, because you got a guy over here saying 2 + 2 = 4, and that sounds a lot better than 2 + 2 = 5. That makes a lot more sense. So you have to actually state 2 + 2 = 4. And you actually have to put on a truthful kind of face. You have to say truthful things, but underneath you're being paid by somebody for some reason to gain allegiance, to gain a following. And that's what I think we're seeing with a lot of these people, specifically Tucker. Tucker, I've waffled back and forth on him. Oh, he's based. He's our guy. Oh, he's not. He's not our guy. I don't know who. The Kabbalah bracelet. What the hell was that about, right? The Qataris, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. Like, weird shit going on with Tucker. His dad was in the CIA running propaganda. And you're like, there's just a lot of weird shit going on here. And you're saying a lot of things that I agree with. But to me, it's like maybe what he's intended to be up there for is not yet revealed to us, right? Maybe it's the long game. It's the go out there, say the true talking points, say what's really going on, just tell the truth about the world, about the AI demons, about the Israel lobby, AIPAC. Go out there and say the thing. a sleeper cell in a way, right? Be the guy that everybody rallies around, everybody thinks, puts their trust into. And when we need you down the line, that's when you'll flip the switch. That's what I'm afraid of. That is so, and not just in this, but in life, like following down this path of what you think to be true, what you think to be right and correct. And maybe on all accounts it is, but you're putting faith in these people that you really don't know who they are, specifically on the internet. You don't know who these people are. You don't know who they're being paid by. You don't know what they do in their free time. You don't know anything about them. And they could be leading you down this primrose path to death, right? To accepting, to buying into something that you're like, wait a minute, how did I get here? How did I get to this point? Why am I a part of this? That's kind of what happened with MAGA. Am I a part of this? Is this what it's? No, I'm off that. I'm off that train. And you should be too, frankly. If you're still shilling for MAGA, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. You don't pay attention, you're ignorant, or you're being paid, really. So now we got this interesting post by Nick Fuentes on Telegram. He says, did you know that Joe Kent's current wife wrote for Max Blumenthal's Gray Zone website? And years ago, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but Gray Zone published this hit piece on Nick Fuentes, and they actually rallied around, there was Influenceable, I think that's what it was called. It was a program where they basically pay people to shill certain talking points, certain things about Nick. I'm trying to remember, there was like a hashtag that went around basically to diminish him and to push, I'm trying to remember what it was. It was like never Fuente. I don't even remember, something stupid, or like yeah, I don't remember. But there was it was basically the Gray Zone, Max Blumenthal basically orchestrated this campaign against Nick Fuentes years ago. And Joe Kent's current wife she wrote for Gray Zone, which Max Blumenthal owns. He says, these people are all CIA. It's crazy. Peter Thiel donates to Kent and Vance in 2022. Tucker promotes them both on his show. And Tucker, we've seen that he has promoted JD Vance many times. I think it was like dozens of times on his show since 2016. Tucker's son works for Vance. Tucker has known Thiel since 1992. Wow. Talk about CIA connections. Thiel is a CIA contractor. Tucker's dad ran USIA. Joe Kent became CIA in 2018. Vance was a Marine recruited by Thiel at Yale. USIA is where Voice of America, it was United States Information, something like that, agency. Let me look that up real quick. United States Information Agency. Okay, so I was right. It was an agency established in 1953 to promote U.S. national interests, support foreign policy, and influence public opinion abroad. Operating until 1999, it managed international broadcasting such as Voice of America, which Tucker's dad worked for. So I wonder if they just have like, I mean, maybe they're probably still doing that, but maybe they don't need these agencies because the internet is basically an American invention. It's an America propaganda machine. And now they're flipping it inward to propagandize us. Why do they all hate Fuentes more than anyone else? Makes me like him even more. Yeah, I know. And that's one of the things I've had moments. I had a moment there for a while where I was very adamantly like, I think he's being paid. And I'm still kind of like, I don't know, man. There's some things about him too. Some of the things he shills and pushes for where I'm like, who are you being paid for? Are you being paid by anybody? Like, what's going on here? So I'm still, the jury's still out on him, but I am gaining more favorability towards him the more and more I see these people come out of the woodwork to violently attack him. Especially during that time when he was being legitimized by all these people and Tucker and him basically smooth things over. I was like, Tucker seems weird too. And if they're friends, then maybe there's something going on. So the jury's still out on him. But the Tucker jury is, I think it's I'm quickly realizing that there's something afoot. There is some CIA connections there that were not just connections with his dad. Someday I may find out that Fuentes is a fraud, but I have to say every time I actually sit down and watch him, I always have a favorable impression. I don't watch him regularly though. Yeah, I don't really watch him that much either. I used to watch him a lot more. But then I started to have this realization about all these talking heads and his generational run and his claim to fame. He's basically becoming a household name. And I'm like, what's going on here? Is there something going on here? Because he was always the outsider. He was always the guy who was fighting against the establishment. But then he became a prominent figure. Now his ads are being run on X too. And it's like, what? What's going on here? Is he taking money from someone? So I'm still like, I don't even know. I don't know. But I do have a favorable view of him in regards to being, kind of a counterweight to the AI crowd, to the Israel lobby. Absolutely. If he is getting attacked by those people, then I'm for that. If he keeps speaking out against Peter Thiel, if he keeps speaking out against these people, sure, I'm all for that. After Kent loses, Tucker and Blumenthal retaliate against me with their gray zone hit piece calling me a Fed. Right, Fed Fuentes. I think that's what it was. Months later, Kent's new wife, Heather Kaiser, publishes a piece with Blumenthal in the gray zone. And Blumenthal's dad, Sidney, was an intelligence mercenary. Blumenthal works with RT and Press TV. David Sachs calls for the war to end. A few days later, Kent resigns to J.D. Vance, then appears on Tucker afterward. Sachs is PayPal Mafia, longtime associate of Thiel and Musk, close confidant of J.D. Vance, donated to Vance in 2022. Sachs has spoken alongside Tucker at Rockbridge Network, which created 1789 Capital, which funds Tucker Carlson Network. This, in a nutshell, is what is happening. Don't believe any of it. And this is classic Fuentes, really. This is like, this is his wheelhouse. I love that they're making these connections. This is really, I think, the evidence that people need to see. And we might not have seen evidence on all these other streamers just yet. But if people push for this kind of stuff and they reveal this kind of stuff, whether it's Thomas Massey, whether it's, the Joe Kent right here, whether it's Fuentes, or somebody comes out and says, oh, look, Fuentes is connected to all these people. It leads back to, I don't even know, like, oh, that would be a revelation. Or if it's Alex Jones, I don't even know. This is really what people need to see, is where is the money coming from? Who are these people connected to? What's the chain here? And because they obfuscate, and this cloud, all this subterfuge, it's business on venture capital firm and you really have to. It's a pain in the ass, and you have to go through all the history of these people and exactly who they're connected to. So this is great. I love this kind of stuff. This connecting Tucker to Vance, the Rockbridge Network, 1789 Capital. That's great, and I think that that's absolutely true. Tucker has all kinds of sus around him. Absolutely. And that's the thing, is that people need to be able to agree with what somebody's saying, at least the bits of information and facts that they're giving you. Yes, Israel runs our government. Yes, Peter Thiel, whatever. Well, actually, I don't even know how much Tucker Carlson has talked about Peter Thiel, frankly, now that I think about it. But if you're saying these things, you can agree with those statements in and of themselves, but you don't have to buy into the person and the streamer. You don't have to, what do they call that? You don't have to have a parasocial relationship with these people. That's really like where it gets to. If you buy into these people and create a parasocial relationship, then you are in a cult. And that's what's happened with, I think, a lot of MAGA shills. Powers that be say you need to go to Ivy colleges, and that's where they find and control political candidates. Nick didn't go there. Yes, he's kind of outside the system in that regard. Perhaps because of the internet, it's easier to find and make these connections. Yeah, it is. Yep. Okay. J.D. Vance gains nothing from this. He stinks as the he's okay. Take two. J.D. Vance gains nothing from this. He sinks as the Iran war drags on. Trump keeps embarrassing himself. I couldn't have dreamed of a better scenario for Vance's defeat. Right. So that's what I keep thinking then, because of that, because of how disastrous this has gone in the media, I think that they're going to look for another avenue to push somebody to the forefront, like a Tucker, like a maybe Joe Kent. Maybe he's a new guy. He's coming around. They got 2 years, right? Yeah, a year and some change to really get this guy out there. Maybe he'll be a forerunner. Maybe they're just chalking up 2028 to a loss, and they're looking for 2032. And they'll say we'll push Joe Ken out there, and we'll. But it feels like there is a controlling of both sides here. It's like, because if you game it, right, if you strategize and you say, okay, we come out with the war in Iran, they have to know. I mean, any idiot can sit there and put two and two together and say there's going to be a large group of people who are on the right wing, specifically, if that's their avenue they're going to take. There's going to be a large group of people who are going to be against this. Obviously, that's what Trump ran on. There's going to be a group of people who are going to be diehard loyalists, of course. But there's going to be a large section of people who are going to be against this no new wars shit. And they had to have known that was going to be the case. And they need to put somebody out there to sell you on that, right? Put somebody at the forefront to sell you on these no new wars, Israel lobby kind of anti-Zionist figure. And then you'll buy into that person. That's what it feels like. I'm sorry, but Nick is coming off like Candace right here. Okay, bro. Also, is that an insult? Also, is that an insult? You are you trying to use my black queen as an insult, bro? Shit. Hell yeah, he sounds like Candace. Hell yeah. My girl Candy, of course. Okay, lots of connections, but he should explain why this is a bad thing that I'd care about. What does Teal, Vance, Tucker, Kent want, and why is it bad? That is a good question. I think ultimately it lies in the technocracy. I think that's a lot of what is going to be eventually pushed, and a kind of pedal to the metal institution of this, not only a country-wide technocracy, but I think it's going to be a global technocracy. And it's also just power, right? It's like, okay, if these guys are paid off by Peter Thiel, like he runs the show then, dude. It's not who you think it is. It's not who's being pushed to the forefront. It's Peter Thiel and what Peter Thiel wants. And I think ultimately there's going to be a eventual shift away from the Middle East. And some of that I think it might be happening as well, as maybe there is a butting of heads here with the AI people, the military, contractors, the AI, the Andurils of the world, the Palantirs of the world, and them wanting to move towards the Pacific, away from the Middle East. And maybe there's like, look, we have to move on from the Middle East. We have to move on from Israel. We did the Iran thing. Now we have to go. And maybe there's conflict there. Maybe they're saying the job's not done. We have to keep pushing forward for the Israel thing. And maybe they can just see like, look, dude, the public is now on board with this. We have to put another person out there who is going to be in favor of AI and in favor of the technocracy and in favor of drones and war with China. Because that's the whole pretext on why we're doing all this stuff with AI is we have to beat China. We have to beat China. China's right on our heels. Closing the chapter on the Middle East and Israel and opening up a new chapter with Palantir technocracy. Peter Thielian technocracy. Okay, so now I got the clip here. Let's check this out.
One of those sure bets that Peter Thiel loves so much and whom Tucker talks to every day, by the way. I heard this recently. Do you know, by the way, that Tucker consults Peter Thiel with every major life decision he makes? Someone should ask Tucker about that. The next podcast that he's on, somebody should ask Tucker, what is your relationship with Peter Thiel? Because according to my sources, Tucker consults Peter Thiel on every major life decision. They're far closer than he lets on. They're far better of friends than he will ever tell anybody in public. And as you know, J.D. Vance is Peter Thiel's boy. And Peter Thiel loves a sure bet. If you know anything about Peter Thiel, he likes monopolies. He likes a sure thing.
Yeah, he wrote in his book.
He doesn't like competition. So, J.D. Vance, it's looking a little too competitive in 2028. So now you start to see this little group. You start to see David Sachs, the connector, David Sachs, Vance's future guy. Okay, they're very close. If J.D. Vance becomes president, what role is David Sachs going to have? A big one. A big one. So David Sachs says, I don't know about the war. What role will Joe Kent have in a future Vance administration? What do you think? You think Joe Kent will have a role in Vance's administration? So Joe Kent steps out and says, well, I don't want to insult the president, and he was America first, but he isn't anymore.
Yeah, he did glaze a lot
And
in
now
the interview.
Tucker's going to interview him.
He wants to play this like both sides thing where he's like, yeah, Israel runs our administration and our government, but at the same time, Trump's a real strong, tough guy. He's a real leader. It's like, okay, dude. That's why we're in this mess to begin with. He's not very strong. He's a weak guy. Also, I think that there is more to what I'm saying. Like, maybe this could be the case, but it feels like JD Vance he's done. He's cooked. I feel like how can you not associate the downfall and the failing of this administration, not to some of it to JD Vance? In 2028, people were going to be looking at him and be like, okay, dude, you were on that whole MAGA thing. Like, we don't want anything to deal with you. We don't have anything to do with you. At least that's how I feel. And so maybe there is a push for a whole new candidate. We need a whole new counterweight. I feel like there's probably like dozens of these Peter Thiel sleeper cells, right? That's what I feel like. It's like, why would you know, you're not going to all in on, if I was Peter Thiel and I had billions and billions of dollars at my disposal, maybe even more than that, right? I wouldn't all in on one guy. Hell no. I would have multiple people that I'm paying for. I would have multiple people on my payroll, multiple people that could step into the limelight to be a president, to take the throne, to take the mantle, of course. And if one of them gets shot down, okay, well, I have multiple others who can step up and fill whatever role we need to in the moment. That's the for sure bet. That's hedging your bet.
Something is going on here. Something is clearly going on between all these people. And it's obvious. Yeah. They are making a play. They are making some kind of play. They want to stop the war in Iran. They don't want to implicate Vance. They want to get Trump to slow it down and get him out of there. Maybe give Vance some cover fire. Maybe they can initiate it, and Vance can come in as the wingman. You know, Trump is in his office. I don't know what to do. They're leaving my administration. Vance puts his hand on his shoulder. Listen, boss, you know we got to leave and finish the war. They're planting all these stories now, saying that Vance was against the war. Vance told Trump not to do it, pleaded with him, all this kind of stuff. It's an op. It's an op. And I know you might think that I'm being picky. I'm not. I know you might think I'm being paranoid. I'm not. It's an op. It's obviously an op because of who is involved. And I would venture to guess that this little CIA referral against the DOJ, I would imagine this is like a counter operation. There's a civil war in the White House about this, and it's a civil war between the camp of J.D. Vance, which needs him to become the president either before 28 or in 28, and they need to rescue him from this catastrophe that Trump has created, and they're throwing a little bit of shade at the Israelis because the Israelis are really hurting Vance here. That's obvious. And I think that really started after my interview with Tucker, to tell you the truth. I did my interview with Tucker in late October. And then at the Republican Jewish Coalition, Mark Levin goes there and says, we're watching to see who disavows who, and we're making our decisions for 28. And the implication was, we're going to watch and see if J.D. Vance fires Buckley Carlson, disavows Tucker, and if he doesn't, then we'll back somebody else. And surely that is happening behind the scenes. And that is why the Israelis are content to see Trump go down in flames and J.D. Vance with him, because then they will rescue Marco Rubio from the rubble and the fire, and he will be their guy, or somebody else. Or they don't even care. You know, but that is what is going on. And that is why Tucker has upped his game against the Israelis, because they are damning Vance to hell after that interview. And that's why they're coordinating this effort to save Vance, and in order to do that, they've got to push back against the Israelis a little bit, but they can't piss Trump off too much. That's obviously what is going on here. And I don't trust any of these people. I don't trust Vance. I don't like Vance at all, and I don't think he should be the guy. And I don't like Tucker, and I don't like Joe Kent, and I don't like any of them. I don't trust any of them. I don't. And I see what they're doing. I don't know who the fuck Tucker is. I don't know what the fuck he is. He's not honest. He's not an honest man. And if he is something other than a guy that just likes his hunting and fishing, well, you know, he didn't tell me. And that's all I have to go off of. So I don't like it. I don't like what I can't see. I don't like what I can't trust, and I can't read him. I came there and I wore my heart on my sleeve, and he, you know, it was a work. I don't like it. And I don't like that he's in Saudi Arabia and Qatar and Russia and Serbia. And I don't like that he's in Iran. And I don't like that his dad is a lobbyist for Hungary, or was. I don't like that his dad was working for the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. I don't like that Tucker is so close with Orban. I don't like that Tucker says he has friends in the Israeli government. I don't like any of that. And I don't like that Joe Kent was in the CIA and lied about it. I don't like that Vance is in bed with Peter Thiel. Not a fan of this stuff. And if these guys are really on my side, I don't know, maybe give me a call. If these guys are really on my side, if these guys are really on the side of America first, hey, I want to be a part of the solution, but it's a little bit hard to be a part of the solution when all you people are so fucking dishonest and throw, in particular, me under the bus always. Hard to get on board. Because some people might say,
yeah, that's the thing is people are dishonest because what they actually want is horrible for certain people. You're lying to people, you're lying to the public, you're lying to Nick Fuentes, you're not telling him the truth, even when you are there sitting face to face with him. Well, you're not telling him this stuff because what that means ultimately is that it's probably going to be something that that person doesn't like, right? It's something that the public probably doesn't like. It's something that we're like, yeah, we kind of have to sell you guys out. We're going to have to institute technocratic control. And I don't think people are going to like that. So we're going to have to try and sell this somehow. We have to underhanded. We're going to have to do underhanded tactics. That's what I think ultimately out of this is that it's going to be furthering the technocracy. So the AI people, the AI bros, they're going to be given more contracts. They're going to be pushing even harder for this stuff if JD Vance gets in or somebody Teal adjacent gets in. Look, Nick Fuentes has controlled opposition and he appears to have been activated. Wow. He's just mad at Tucker because the interview he didn't act like a friend. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what to make out this. It's so, what is the first casualty of war? The truth. And somebody said that earlier. It's tough to really discern what's going on. Watch the Yvonne ask a question to Tucker on his podcast about Palantir and see how quickly he avoids the topic. Oh, I didn't see that. He will never discuss Teal, but rails on everything else. Just think about it. Oh, here's the clip. Sweet.
And then you see people jumping up and being like, Muslims shouldn't have jobs in the United States. And it's like, or in the US government. It's like, how is that better than saying Jews shouldn't have jobs or Christians or Buddhists? It's all the same. That kind of thinking is genocidal. It leads to the genocide we're watching right now in Gaza and to many other genocides.
Here we go. And if drones are just shooting people out in the streets and stuff, like if one of these companies like Palantir, like they were using in Gaza, just starts popping off here, which now has a isn't Palantir, they're going to do our data now, aren't they?
Pre-crime, buddy.
Oversee us?
I don't know. I see a lot of people referring to that, but I'm just going to have to plead ignorance on this.
And this is allegedly, but there's articles that allege that that they have weapons attached to drones and that they're able to figure that out. Palantir Technologies holds multiple major contracts with the U.S. government, particularly with the Department of Defense, highlighted by a recent U.S. Army enterprise agreement valued up to $10 billion over 10 years. Let me see.
Need more of those contracts. We need more of those contracts.
Into one for software and data services to boost military readiness.
Now, just keep it. That looks like it's from Wikipedia, which is obviously controlled by CIA.
Bro, I think you're controlled by the CIA, okay? That's crazy he said that. I mean, Wikipedia, hey, but still, that is a crazy thing to say. It seems coordinated to weaken, distract, and internally divide the U.S., to discredit our democracy, institutions, and cause citizens to distrust one another. I think that's absolutely happening. The Teal Vance Tucker would seem to fight globalists, but Silicon Valley would like it to replace with technocrats, which destroy democracy too. Yep, push for GovCorp. They're pushing Israel, owning all politicians in the U.S. at their behest, but look closely, and our politicians, bankers, corporations are all funded by Silicon Valley too. Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. Obviously, just my opinion. So yeah, Fuentes gets it, and sometimes it takes time to get there. I'm not even a Fuentes follower, but this resonates. Yes, I think that is what's happening. I think they're bringing up the rear. The Israel lobby is like on its way out, and they're coming in to take its place. The technocrat lobby. And I think ultimately they're going to be working with Israel.
And then you see people jumping up.
But some of this, I think, is I was thinking about this with the Epstein files too. It's to completely delegitimize our faith in institutions, in the government, in the elite, in order to kind of usher in a new, a changing of the guard that will give our allegiance over to these people, whoever, I don't know. It's the anti-woke people, right? You make the opposition just so heinous that whoever comes out against the woke people, right, against the disgusting degenerates, well, they have to be, oh my gosh, we have to give our allegiance to these people because we can't stand for children being mutilated, right? Some of that I think is happening too. Or we can't deal with people who are on the Epstein Island, so we have to give our allegiance over to these people who are rallying against it and rallying against AIPAC in Israel. But I think all of it's a destroying and destruction of the old world, of the ways of the past. And ultimately, I think they want people to get on board with anti-individualism, they want people to be collectivist. They want people to be at each other's throats. They want people to, basically, they want to get rid of the Bill of Rights, I think, because you're going to have to. Not that it really means anything now anyways. People don't give a shit about any of that stuff, but there is at least a justification in law for that. But I think they're trying to get the public on board with kind of removing that, because you're going to have to when you institute the technocracy and you have mass surveillance and you have pre-crime and you have drones that are sniping people out of their houses.
What is he telling you? What is he telling you? He is projecting into you some sort of mind control here.
Well, he said the most interesting thing. He said, the closer you get, the more you learn, the more I realize it's all fake.
What is he telling you?
Yes, he would know that. Tucker would know that, because I think he is fake. I think he is a fake person. Politics is the entertainment division of the military-industrial complex. Yes, I think that's true. What if it's all fake and gay and retarded? Which is why they will off him as soon as he gets the chance. I'm sincerely worried about this man's life. He's saying this stuff to a large audience that they cannot have people hearing. No, I don't even think it matters anymore, man. Just say your shit. And I think they know they can just say the shit and nobody's really going to do shit about it. Nobody's going to do anything about it. His podcast can't just keep going on as it is without them doing something to silence him. No, I think that's what they want. They want you to buy in. They want you to buy in to Tucker and his brand and have him be your parasocial dad. And then they'll activate him when they need to. It's all theater / Maya. Anyone who studies deep thinkers knows this. Bruh. Michael Crane. Yeah, but some of this you get to a point if he's you get Gnostic with it, and I think that's no good. It's all fake, man. We have to escape our fleshy, earthly bodies. And then what's there to catch you is transhumanism. Oh, look at that. So I got this clip that this happened. I feel like this flew under people's radar when this happened, where Tucker told Qatar's prime minister that he's buying a place in Doha, claiming it shows his independence as a free man.
I've been personally, not to make it about me, but I've been personally, not to make it about me, but I have been criticized as being a tool of Qatar. And I just want to say what you already know, which is I've never taken any
As he sits in Qatar.
and don't plan to. I am, however, tomorrow buying a place in Qatar, both because I am
pay a high check.
in Doha.
Bro is not
and
beating the
because
allegations.
I like the city. I think it's beautiful, but also to make the statement that I'm an American and a free man, and I'll be wherever I want to be, which I think is important. But that does kind of leave us in a place where I have not taken any money from Qatar. I have instead given money to Qatar. And I wonder if you feel that that means I've bought you and you will now spew my propaganda.
What?
Thank you. Just ask me whatever you want me to do for you, I will do it. But look, Tucker, unfortunately, as I told you, that there are a lot of players putting a lot of efforts to sabotage the relationship between Qatar and the United States and to try to demonize anyone who will come to this country. Our efforts, when we are lobbying or doing, our outreach in the United States, is to make sure that this relationship is safeguarded. And the relationship for us is mutually beneficial. We are not getting aid from United States. We are buying from United States. We are partnering with them. We are investing in the United States.
Yes, they are.
In Qatar. And this relationship has been always a two-way relationship.
So that raises the question right there. I mean, he's one side of his mouth saying, I'd never taken a single dollar from Qatar, but I've given you guys money. I'm thinking about buying a place here. What? Bro, what? Who that? What the hell is this? This guy is wearing the Kabbalah bracelet. He's in Peter Thiel. He's talking to the Qataris. I mean, what the hell is going on? What is happening? Who is Tucker? His dad's in the CIA, running Voice of America, running propaganda. He's on Fox News. It's honestly just, it's insane. It is insane. I don't know how anybody can really trust this guy. Again, agree with the things he says. Listen to the talking points, and what's true is true. That's fine, but do not buy into him. Do not buy into Tucker Carlson as a whole. The powers that be need to approve of who's running for president. Yes, and to some degree, they need us to approve of them as well. Because it's not rape if you consent to it. Remember that. Remember that. It's not rape if you consent to it. And it's much easier. It's much easier to catch flies with honey, right? LOL, how dumb are people? Who is he even talking to with that argument? It's not even an argument. I mean, what the hell even was that? He just straight up asserted it. I'm not taking any money from people. Okay, that has not been demonstrated. But then he admits to giving you guys money, buying a house there. Like, that's just insane. Do you guys have a house in Qatar? I've never met a single Qatari person ever. I don't know if I've ever spoken to one in my life. But this guy, this American patriot, he's going to buy a house there because he's a free man. I don't trust this. Yeah, I don't trust him either. All right, I'm off the Tucker bandwagon. I'm off the Tucker train. Tucker train has left the building. I think based off of tonight, what I've seen, I think Fuentes elucidates some very interesting connections, some of which I already knew, but pushing further with Joe Kent stuff, very interesting. This Qatari clip, I've seen this, all the other preponderance of evidence. I think I'm off it. Tucker's a shill. Tucker's a bum. What the hell? Yes, and he talks very favorably about Islam, which is weird. It leads me to believe that Qatar probably has some sort of influence over him, or somebody in the Middle East has influence over him. And maybe they're influencing. Sometimes I just think, our government's just one big business, and it's like, who has the most shares, right? Does Qatar now have shares in it? Well, this Wall Street Journal article from 2018, mind you, says the new lobbying. Qatar targeted 250 Trump influencers to change U.S. policy. Blockaded by Mideast neighbors, the emirate deployed an unconventional lobbying campaign to win over an unconventional U.S. president. Very interesting. This was during his first administration when this article came out. Now we're almost 10 years later. I wonder how much more lobbying they've done. You just don't know. We just don't know who the hell's being paid by who. And you have to run off the assumption that everybody's paid. Even the people I like and I think they're good, it's like I still have that in the back of my mind. Okay, is this person taking money from someone? At least maybe once you get to a certain threshold of followers and whatnot, maybe you flip over into you now harness enough of a base of a following that we want to put money into you, and we want you to start chilling for our bullshit. Like Tucker does with his slight remarks about Islam and Muslims being in positions of power. No, I don't want Muslims in positions of power. I don't. Islam, people want to downplay that and be like, "Oh, dude, Muslims and Islam doesn't matter." No, it does matter. It does matter because that's a bullshit ass, heinous, barbaric religion. And Judaism is, the Zionists have a lot of control over our government. I understand that. People saying maybe they're not as big of a deal as AIPAC and as these lobbying groups. I get that. I completely can understand that. But I don't have to sit there and affirm that Islam and people doing chants in New York City is totally cool and fine. Fuck that shit too. Fuck it both. Interesting perspective about America being a business with foreign investors owning shares. Yeah, I think that's what it is. And, who they elect as president is kind of like, who's the new CEO, right? Who's going to bring to fruition the plans of the investors, right? Who's going to actually produce for the people who have invested in it? And so I think you get all these warring factions in the government. So it's I think a lot more complex. I think the CCP obviously has their position in our government. I think Qatar has a position in our government. Israel has the biggest position, I think, in our government. But I think you have these different foreign entities who are vying for power, trying to get their guys in office, and maybe they make deals with each other. Maybe there's overlap with the Qatari government and Peter Thiel. I don't know. It's tough to see from our angle. It's speculation because nobody says it. Of course, nobody registers with FARA, right? Of course not. So you basically you're just looking at what they say in the public, and we have to kind of speculate on what's going on here. But I don't think I'm completely far off on what I'm saying. Yes, Christ is King, absolutely. We are in the Lenten season right now. Pascha's coming up, quick. Tucker Carlson, if you can see this, just know that you are the most useless, imbecilic dunce America ever had. Moron. Imbecilic. Is that a word? I've never heard anybody use that. I've heard of imbecile, but imbecilic. Interesting. I'll have to bank that one and use it. Wow, I'm using that word. Yeah. It's like imbecile, right? But it's just the adjective. And then we got the lady herself, Whitney Webb. Whitney Webb's great. If you don't know who that is, you should look into her. She writes a lot about Epstein. She's got multiple books on Epstein, and she writes about Peter Thiel quite a bit as well. So good stuff from her. She says it's infinite PSYOP season. Yeah, it's the PSYOP machine go brrr. The main targets are those who are unhappy with the current system, would-be dissidents. Yes, I think that's true. The people, you're going to try and corral these people. What did they say? What was the World Economic Forum? Wasn't that their Their motto for this year, or was it last year, is rebuilding trust, right? They're trying to attempt to rebuild trust among people in our institutions. Well, maybe not our institutions of old, but maybe new institutions, new people, new forms of governance. Maybe that's what their attempt is to do, to corral these people who are sour against it. But it's not, hey, it's not going to work when Alex Karp's out there saying conspiracy theorists are fucking morons or whatever he said. Now, that's not how you win me over, bud, okay? You're going to have to do a little something for me. The goal is to distract them so they don't do anything real about it and divert them into a new, more convenient corral. Yes. Stay vigilant and maybe don't immediately trust the ex-CIA people suddenly popping up to tell you what you want to hear. Yep. Agreed. I agree with this. The guys on the scene, Professor Zhangs of the world, are just they're on the scene in the nick of time to tell you exactly what's going on, what you need to hear. Oh, okay. And you need to vote for J.D. Vance in 2028 to avoid the eschaton. Okay. What? Wait, what do I need to do? Peter Thiel, very good man. Peter Thiel, very good man. Peter Thiel fund me. We love CCP and Peter Thiel. Nick Rand. We love Nick Rand. There are no ex-CIA people, if you know what I mean. Absolutely. That's a great point right there. I don't think there's ever an ex-CIA person. Especially if you're in the CIA and you become a high-ranking person, they ain't gonna ever let you go with the shit you might potentially know. Hell no. They're gonna have a beat on you forever. Otherwise, you turn into like Assange or something, right? You gotta flee. You gotta run away. Or Snowden, right? Where's Snowden living now? Siberia or some shit? Why would CIA royalty Buckley Carlson retweet this? Ooh, interesting. I mean, she can't control who retweets her shit. But why would he? That's an interesting point. Why would he retweet that? We're in this just fog, man. Maybe because she's right. Yes, she is right. And these people will affirm that she's right and everything's a psyop. So you like, but you don't know, what's underneath. There's nothing to go off of. Everything's like sand. Everything's like water. The propaganda is crazy. If you guys don't feel the heat signatures of propaganda on all these people, man, it's, you're not looking. It's probably part of their training to be Epstein Islanded, and that crap's permanent. Yes, absolutely. It's a way to control you. What's the end game? Try to whitewash J.D. Vance to salvage Palantir's investment in him. I think that's part of it for sure. Everything has been exposed as shit. They are clean slating it. They're admitting to crimes we all know about anyways, so that the parties can be purged and good, virtuous candidates can take the reins. I bet Kent is supposed to be the GOP paladin. Dems will love him. Okay, that's kind of what I was saying. Yes, I think that maybe that's the plan, push him to the forefront. I get it's a psyop, but it seems good to have them in damage control mode, and I'm not sure they'll be able to control this particular psyop as it's reinforcing anti-imperialism. It doesn't seem like the deep state is as effective with propaganda as it used to be. Maybe. Vance is toast. Our greatest ally, lie, is toast. I guess they push candidates that lie like no new wars again, but the discontent grows with every betrayal. I think, and like I said, I think that there is a contingency plan on this too, on this outright disillusionment with the government and the elites. I think that there's, flipping into this kind of GovCorp technate, I think is partially the end goal. People say that JD Vance is going to take over before Trump's tenure is over. I don't know if that, I don't know. That'd be interesting. I don't know how they would do that. Blame it on Iran. I know we're still waiting on that. We're still waiting on the false whatever. I don't want to say it. I don't know if that's a bad word too, bad phrase. The false, you know what I'm saying. We're still waiting on that. So is that, I mean, that could be a thing. Maybe they have an Iranian assassinate Trump and then JD Vance becomes president. That could be an interesting avenue to take. It's all up. It's all up for grabs, right? With unlimited money, man, you can do anything. All right, so we got the Andrew Wilson stuff. Do I want to talk about this? It's almost 10. I'm getting hungry. Boys and girls, I'm getting hungry. I'm getting hungry. And we've almost went 3 hours. RIP US Bank Tower in LA. Oh, there's Pigeon Post. Ah, very good. Very good. Yes. Didn't Larry Silverstein, Larry Goldberg, whatever his name is, US. I'm going to clear that out of my search history. Okay. US Bank Tower, Larry Legend. Keep your eyes on this one, too. This is an interesting one. Larry Silverstein owns the U.S. Bank Tower in Los Angeles, and now we are hearing reports of possible drone terror attacks in California. Just 2 months before 9/11, the World Trade Center was sold to Larry Silverstein. Silverstein ate breakfast on the 91st floor of the North Tower every single morning, except on 9/11, when his wife scheduled a doctor's appointment for him, which he recounts below. Larry Silverstein's company received $4.5 billion in insurance after 9/11. Lucky Larry. He's a lucky guy. Recently purchased U.S. Bank Tower in Los Angeles. Is this the biggest? Is this the tallest building in LA? So I thought somebody said this was the tallest building. Tallest building in LA. LA is not very... Wilshire Grand Center. Okay. Okay, the U.S. Bank Tower is second tallest. LA is not very vertical. It's more horizontal. It's like spread the fuck out on the coast. So it doesn't have a whole lot of these buildings like that. Like New York. Like New York does. Yes, Pigeon Post, you must have heard my calling. You have to go back in the video, but I was conjuring you. I was like, yeah, I said something like, we've seen the usual suspects in the chat. I said, I haven't seen Pigeon Post for a while. I was like, Pigeon Post, if you can hear, you have to go back and see it. That's funny. And here he is. He appeared. He had a feeling, yes, his ears were burning. Speak of the devil, and he shall appear to bring us the U.S. Bank Tower in LA. But unfortunately, we're actually just about to wind down. It's pushing 10 o'clock, and your boy is hungry. So it's good to see you at the end of the stream, but you'll have to go and rewatch the replay. But clips will be up during the week as well. I kind of want to talk about this Andrew stuff, but man, I am freaking starving, and I'm not about to be eating on stream. So maybe we'll save that for next week. Let's go back. Okay. All right. We're going to wrap it there, boys. It was a good night. Yes, you too, Pigeon Post. Have a good night, buddy. It was good to see you in chat. Better late than never, right? That's going to be it for me tonight. I will be back next Friday. Clips will be up during the week. Please give me a sub on YouTube. Let's make it to 300. We're 11 away. And make sure to follow me on X for updates. Same exact thing, Jake. I'm on YT. I will see you all next Friday, 7 p.m. You guys all have a good weekend.